We are live? All right, let's roll then. Now. All right, it being 5 o'clock on Monday, January 30th, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Public Safety and Licensing Committee. If we could start off with, well, we don't need to do a roll call because we are all here. So let the minutes reflect that. First order then is approval of minutes for the January 9th meeting. Second. All right, we have a motion to approve and a second. Any discussion on it? Any errors perceived, proposed corrections, omissions? All in favor? Aye. Motion carries, thank you. First item, ever so weather appropriate. 875-22, communication sponsored by Elder Jones, requesting to adopt an amendment to the commercial electric scooter ordinance. With that, I believe we have Director Young to start things off for us.
All right. Thank you, Chair McCarthy. Public Safety and Licensing Committee. First off, I just want to say I appreciate you considering this item that's not exactly seasonable, but is something to celebrate because of the successful partnership that we've had thus far with our private sector partner, Bird Scooters. So I have a short presentation because I know that you have a long agenda tonight, and I want to be conscious of your time. And so we will pull that up now.
And do we have some visitors online there as well?
We do. So Caitlin Goodspeed is our liaison to Bird Scooters. So while we have our presentation today, I'll be handing it over to her at the end of the slide deck so that she can address any of your questions and make some comments about her experience working with the city of Racine. So to get us started here, I want to cover the benefits of micro-mobility, specifically cover the 2022 data that we've seen as a result of the program, where the trips have happened in the city of Racine, any type of incidents or data regarding injury, and then going over our recommendations that we have for the committee today. And then, of course, make time at the end of this item for discussion. So what are the benefits of micromobility, and what is micromobility? So in large part, it's the last mile solution and a more eco-friendly way to get from point A to point B that's active. So one of the things that we find to be most exciting about this partnership between the public sector and the private sector is that it's met a serious need for folks who might not have access to a vehicle or might choose to use an alternative mode of transportation in the summer months. And so if you look at the list that we have here, it's an inexpensive and convenient way for folks to be able to travel to where they need to go in urban areas. So Racine is actually an excellent example of a community that would benefit most from this type of transportation because it's generally dense. It's got commercial corridors that are spread throughout our urban centers. And because of that, it promotes an active lifestyle so that folks can go from whatever neighborhood they're in and go to West Racine businesses, uptown businesses, folks who have shops at Douglas Avenue in downtown and support their entrepreneurial spirit. Encourages more bike and scooter riders, which creates public awareness and safer bike lanes. So really this isn't just about getting folks out of their house and using an alternative form of transportation, but making our residents recognize that the streets aren't only there for cars and that the pedestrian also should experience them and be safe. And because of that, it can inform the way that they engage with other non-automobile folks who are on the street. It reduces short trip car use, reducing emissions and traffic congestion, so that if you have that option and you're just traveling a short distance, it makes a difference there. And then, of course, it increases spending and economic activity at nearby retailers. And this is exciting because we actually have a heat map to where you see the most active use for these types of scooters. And it won't be a surprise to you that destinations of leisure and retail are popular places. So what did 2022 look like in comparison to 2021? So we actually saw a 24% increase in scooter rides this year compared to last. So you saw 14,456 unique rides. So an average ride per day was 71 rides. And for unique users in the city of Racine, you saw 3,156 unique users of this service. So the average trip distance is 1.8 miles, and the total distance traveled is actually larger than the circumference of planet Earth. So that's pretty exciting. So 27,409 miles. I think the planet is about 24,000 miles. So average miles per day, 134. Average ride duration is about 21 minutes. And I think if you're looking at questions, is that the norm for this type of service? That definitely could be a question for our guest, Ms. Goodspeed, on the call. Metric tons of CO2 saved. So the way that they calculate that is imagining those miles traveled in a vehicle, that being traveled via electric scooter, and that's 3.87 metric tons of CO2 saved from the atmosphere. And commuters, this is especially interesting because this reflects a genuine need in the community for this type of service. We had 281 people use this privately available service to be able to get to where they need to go, whether that be school, work, and the way they judge that is through patterns of ride behavior. So if they notice that one individual scooter is going back and forth on a certain schedule based on an account, they count that as that unique user. And we have about 1,213 commuter rides. So it's interesting because we're going to be talking more about this when we go into the details of the ordinance language, that we have the cap at 150 scooters available to the public that can be in the public right-of-way. But on average, there's about 107 that are available because you've got scooters that are back in the shop, getting charged, getting fixed, etc. So self-reported incidents, we had 2 self-reported incidents last summer. So that is a 50% cut from the year prior, which was 4. And you can see the month-to-month highlighting the ridership being the most popular in, obviously, our warmer months of June and July. So where the trips happen. So the cool thing about this is that obviously the trips happen all across the city of Racine. So that shows a piece in equity. You know, each neighborhood is taking advantage of this service, but you can see in places of leisure where there are destinations for folks to travel to for commercial use, you're seeing that downtown is certainly a popular destination, along with people using this mode of transportation to get to destinations on the lakefront. And then crash and incidents, again, there were 2 self-reported incidents, which is a 50% reduction from the prior year. Obviously, these are self-reported, so there will be instances where somebody falls off their scooter and doesn't report that. When they upload that to the Bird app and want to report that, that's where this data comes from. The City of Racine has used our platform to encourage safe ridership, so we've updated our website to feature resources, whether or not access to a helmet through this Bird Scooter program, or just safe habits and information about how you can engage with this program safely. And something that I do want to point out from 2021 to 2022, and I want to give Alder Caprillion credit, the first year was pretty rough in terms of like the first couple of weeks, because we had to solve some issues related to minors utilizing the scooter share system. And because of that, immediately in the 2021 year, we put together a policy that would have proof of age for folks to be able to board these scooters. So obviously, you might have 1 or 2 people, or you name it, use their parents' ID, but in all, generally, that issue has been addressed as far as we've seen. So now I want to kick it off to Caitlin Goodspeed, who is the City of Racine's account manager for Bird, to make any final comments about her experience working with the City of Racine and what the data looks like considering a community our size.
Hi, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Caitlin Goodspeed, and I'm a senior account manager at Bird. I'm based in Chicago, so not too far from you guys, and I oversee a number of our markets in the Midwest, including Racine, where I've had the pleasure to work with Trevor and Robin over the past year. I'm here tonight to kind of answer any questions that you all have about our program. As Trevor mentioned, we had a great year last year in Racine with over 14,000 rides and 3,000 unique riders, which are numbers that we're as a company really happy with for a city the size of Racine. That's excellent. The fleet manager, which is our local kind of boots on the ground person, is going to be returning this year. So we hope to have him there for the entire season, which will give the program even more stability. He's the person that I work with directly to make sure that we're evenly distributing scooters throughout the city of Racine, and addressing any issues that come up as they relate to parking or scooters in the right of way. At Bird, we know we really kind of pride ourselves on working closely with the communities that we're in to provide this sort of alternative form of transportation. And my hope is that we have another great year in Racine and can demonstrate just how much of an asset e-scooters can be in a city like Racine. So that's kind of all I had. I just wanted to introduce myself. I will be working again closely with Trevor this year, and I'm excited to, work to strengthen the program and just have an overall successful year.
And something that I really do appreciate about Caitlin is how available she's been based on the clientele that she has across the Midwest. So if there's been even instances where alders have reached out about a scooter on a corner that hasn't been utilized and needs to be moved, Caitlin's been responsive in forwarding that message to the local fleet manager and addressing that concern. So it's been a positive working relationship.
Thank you, Caitlin. So why don't we go with any questions about the program itself, and then after that, we can talk about the ordinance change as well. But anybody from the committee, questions? Alder Capellion.
Thank you. You talked about a 24% increase from 2021 to 2022, but if I'm not mistaken, Trevor, in 2021, we had less scooters out on the road, correct? So we should be seeing that increase from, I think we increased it, did we increase it by 50?
We did,
Yeah.
Yep.
So we may see those increase just because we had more scooters out on the road. So my question is, and maybe I am not going to name the title properly, but I remember the last time you were before us, we talked about needing more fleet managers or an additional member of the crew. Is that something we talked about, a singular fleet manager? Are we looking to have another, or is there something below a fleet manager that we were needing an additional hands on deck here in Racine to help with collecting, recharging the scooters?
That's an excellent question, and I will refer that to Caitlin, and then I will make a comment.
Yes, so right now, I know last year we just had one fleet manager managing the fleet there, and that's sort of typical for a city the size of Racine and the number of vehicles we have there in market. Sometimes a fleet manager, will go ahead and hire, subcontract people to help them gather scooters or collect them. And if you're seeing an issue with scooters being dispersed unevenly throughout town, that's something we can definitely talk to our operations team about. If you see a need for potentially another fleet manager, I know they have had issues in the past sourcing someone, but I can certainly bring that up and see if it's a possibility for this year to bring someone else onto the team.
Can I just follow up before you? Okay. Caitlin, we had a couple representatives from Bird before us, and they were the ones who talked about bringing an additional fleet manager in response to the number of calls and issues that we're here in Racine. So if we could just follow up, because I'm assuming if our trend persists, we really will need additional fleet managers.
Okay.
Yeah, and I appreciate that line of questioning, and I think when you have your program that was initially launched, there was a lot of confusion about how are we even going to engage with this new type of mobility source. So you had scooters that might have been on the sidewalk, might have been in the streets, and now that you're seeing the public be a little more aware of how these scooters should be used, and there's more information that's circulating, I think even customer behavior is improving the experience for non-riders.
Coe, then Alder Peterson.
Really not so much, question and comment, so vastly improved over last year. That's all I gotta say. But you said we had about 107 scooters out at any given time, and we're at 150. I'm not so sure I wanna go to a 200, just being that if we get overwhelmed, I don't wanna go back. I'm willing to go up 25 to 175, just a comment. When we get done, we'll figure it out. But like I said, I do gotta say, vastly improved from last year. Only a couple times I've had to call this year, so thanks a lot.
Alder Peterson.
Yes. I view the scooters as entertainment more than transportation. I know it's your job, your transportation, that's what you sell it as. When you say kids are taking them to and from school, I say that means they're not walking, that's not good. You know, so there's plenty of ways to look at this. I see how you have to sell it, how they have to sell it. But, and also along emissions, you sell it with, you know, green. How many miles, or what's the mileage that your maintenance manager puts in for? How many miles, what does he put in for, and what is his carbon effect? Being that he's driving around the city all day and something that normally would be driven around the city all day.
That
That's
is a
an
good
interesting
question. I do not know what his carbon footprint is.
That's worth looking into, though.
If you're gonna sell it as green, tell the
Yeah.
whole picture.
That's very true, and I think that something that you point out rightfully so is that this is also an opportunity for leisure.
To me, that's what it is,
And that's definitely a benefit of the program as well.
and I have no problem with that aspect of it.
I have a question, Caitlin, it might be for you first. I know Trevor has been pushing this as a last mile kind of thing. I understand that, and I get it here. It would strike me that we would want our fleet manager, perhaps as they came across, rogue scooters at this point, to return them to bus stops. I'm not sure what the idea is right now, but would that be an acceptable or a reasonable thing to ask? And if so, is that something formal or informal we'd be asking for? Just encourage them to do that? or-
No, Trevor had mentioned this idea to me, and I think that's a great one. And that is something that we can communicate to our fleet managers, that whenever they're, deploying scooters in the morning, to set them up by the bus stops as that kind of last mile solution. So I think that's a great suggestion and something new we can implement this year.
Question?
Yes, please.
Would now be a good time to ask a free question regarding the fees, or is that something?
Let's go into the ordinance review here, and then we'll ask it in the context of that, if that's okay?
That's fine, thank you.
City Attorney?
Yes, so the ordinance, as you may remember, the original ordinance had a sunset provision that expired December 31st, 2022. So because we are enacting this ordinance new, it's identical to the original ordinance, but includes a couple things that wasn't in there. One is the renewal process for licensees, so it allows them to apply for a renewal license by October 15th of every year. It also allows for the committee to deny a renewal application, in which case the applicant will then have an opportunity to request a due process hearing in front of the due process board. They have to do that within 10 days in writing. So that's really the only thing new in terms of the due process. It also allows the city to charge, if there's over 150 devices, a fee for each device after that. That would be set at budget time by the mayor's office, so that usually is done in.
So to Alder Coe's point then, we're anticipating 150 scooters available again this year, and a similar amount on the sidewalks and road?
Yes, so, another amendment from last year to this year is increasing the cap from 150 to 200, and the 50 additional scooters, each individually would have to be paid for through a separate fee, depending on the interest of the company to increase their fleet size, and that would then be set in the budget cycle.
You, Alder Peterson?
Okay. I got a couple questions in regards to, first question regarding the due process. Where did this language come from? Because Me personally, I don't wanna give a company the ability to go through due process. To me, that's more burdensome on our end. Why would we do that? What's the benefit for the city to give due process?
Well, due process is required by law, so whenever you're granting a person their license, before you take away that license, there should be some sort of procedure in place to allow the applicant or the licensee an opportunity to rebut whatever the allegations are, give them an opportunity to present witnesses, and then have them go through a hearing where all that is done before their license is taken away. So you do have to do that by law. Much of the language in the renewal and the due process comes from the quadricycle ordinance, which I drafted, which the city currently has, so it mirrors that process, which also mirrors a lot of the alcohol licensing process for revocation and suspension.
So this came from your office, or did it come from?
Yes.
All right. Along with fees, where have you come up, we've done the $1,500 or whatever, $1,500. Where did you come up with that? I mean, as I look around at Austin, and obviously they're bigger cities, Milwaukee and Chicago, we're getting shortchanged pretty heavily on the fee. So why are we only at $1,500? I could say Austin gets $30 per scooter plus 15 cents for every every ride. Milwaukee gets 25 cents a ride. Chicago, as she probably knows, gets $1 a day per unit and 9% of trip revenue. Why are we at where we're at? How did you get to that number?
Yeah, Alder Peterson, that's an excellent question. One of the things that we considered is looking at other small market communities that have the volume of rides that we do in the Sabre scene. So we actually would be slightly above the average that's charged in Wisconsin, whether it be in Sheboygan, which I think is only $150 for a license that I believe Bird operates there. And so it would be a large increase compared to cities like that, but of course, it would be up to the discretion of the committee as to how we wish to charge the company. I would note that the smaller the market, the less profitable it would be for this company or any micromobility company to operate. So we want to be, it's a balance.
So this is something we can address in budget time. I think it's under.
That's correct.
Any other questions? Any other discussion? Motion is in order then.
Well, I have a question.
Oh, well, that motion is not yet in order.
I'm just,
You do?
I'm
Okay.
thinking about our numbers here a little bit, but, I'm gonna kind of go back to our discussions before. When comparatively, you talked about, so from 2021 to 2022, and you talked about the behavior changes. I'm just curious, if you can't speak on it, maybe Caitlin can speak on this, how Racine fared with, our abuse of the scooters compared to other startups. So if we could just compare it to maybe startups, because I understand how the behaviors changed.
So your question is about like scooter, like vandalism?
Yes.
You know, I would have to speak to our operations team about that, but in my like day-to-day work, I cannot recall any incidents happening in Racine. Occasionally, we will get a call that like a scooter has been thrown in the river or thrown in the lake. And I think that was more common, especially in the earlier days of e-scooters in 2018, 2019. I think that kind of has worn off a little bit, but I can check with our operations team to see if we experienced anything like that in Racine. I don't think we did. I would have heard about it, but I can check.
Now, less exciting to throw scooters in the water.
Please do.
It's very annoying to have to deal with that.
I am located by the beach, and so I'd often see the mechanism that's on the scooter for tracking and whatnot has been taken off, and just the scooter's just abandoned that has been vandalized. So I'm just curious of where our initial behavior is at, and comparably so, especially if we're looking into this possible expanding the cap and just understanding how much more either education or work on your part, Trevor, your office's part, to really help continue to push this change in behavior, so.
Public Go.
Yeah.
I just wanted to say, did she have something to say?
Oh, I was just gonna say, I appreciate the question and I will look into it, but I think for this upcoming year, I mean, Trevor and I worked pretty closely last year and we'll do so again this year on different educational campaigns. And Trevor, we might also want to talk about doing something in person. You know, maybe we can do like a free helmet giveaway or something, you know, at a farmer's market where we're in person and we can do a scooter demonstration. There are lots of options for education. And I think we could be doing more in Racine, and I'm not that far away, so I'm happy to kind of come up and do something like that.
Sounds like a plan.
I'll go.
Yeah, I just wanted to say before we make that, I wanted to see if we could amend that from, 150 to 175. I'm not against these, but, you know, I just don't want us to get in over our head, and sneaking up on it seems a better way.
I'm not sure what you're.
Well, they're
proposing.
proposing 200 from 150. I wanted to propose 175.
So you want to make the cap 175 as part of your motion then?
Yes.
It would be changing the ordinance then, correct? Are we talking about the ordinance, or are we right?
We are talking about the ordinance, which is before you, so you can make that amendment.
You're talking about amending the ordinance.
Right. Now would be the time to make changes like that. So, let's go the route of having a discussion on that before we finalize the motion. Thoughts from anybody? Okay, Alder Caprillion.
Always know I do. I wouldn't be in favor of that. I think, you know, our jump to 150 from 100, and we only had 107 really out there. So that's only additional of 7 extra scooters out. So that would be, if you're gonna now, I mean, that would be half of that. It'd be 110 then out there. I think if we are going to help change the culture and the mind and the behavior of our community, the more frequently we see it, the more accustomed we become to it, and the more we start respecting it. Because what happened the first year, it took everybody back. People thought it was garbage laying out on the streets, and how dare it be here and here. And it was really changing the mindset. So I go back to my thought process when I put solar panels, and I put them on my west side, not because it benefited me, but it was to change the behavior and help to see, you know, for the community to kind of push away towards changing the culture of our community around that. But I think the same for the scooters, because really they're not always out on the road at the same time. So, I mean, if we go by this percentage that you gave us, or the numbers that were out there, then again, we'd be at 110 or 115. So I'd say if your proposal is 175, but with 150, you know, we're only going up a few numbers.
Question for Lou. In the future, with due process being involved now, can we change that number as a council in the ordinance at any given day, any given year, I should say?
Change the
Or
cap.
does that become then part of due process?
No, it's not of the due process procedures, but anything, including the due process procedures, can be changed at any time by the common council.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, one more question?
Okay, yes. But would that be a contract in which Bird is signing with us? So we would have to then go back and amend the contract if possible? Because right now, we would be proposing with a 200 cap, but let's say.
I have not seen the contract with Bird, so I don't know what's in there. But as far as regulations go, in terms of due process, they can't really contract that part out. They can contract the numbers of devices. So if there's something in that contract that designates a maximum number, then it might conflict with the ordinance. The ordinance would be controlling, but if the city signs the contract, then we would be in violation or in breach of the contract. So we want to make sure it does match.
So this is a year-to-year contract at this point?
I've not seen the contract.
Is this a one-year contract?
My understanding is that through allowing this type of service to be functional, they follow the ordinance, and it's not necessarily an agreement between the city of Racine and a private organization. They're just allowed to to operate.
So it doesn't sound like
Up to the
they're-
capacity then, okay,
They just have to follow the rules that are subject in the ordinance.
thank you. For a motion, Vice Chair?
I am willing to make the motion here. I have a recommendation that, we approve the ordinance that has been presented, the amended ordinance that has been, presented for the commercial electric scooter.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion, second. Further discussion, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Caitlin.
Thank you very
Thank you,
much for
Director
having
Young.
me.
Yeah, you.
Have a good night.
All right. Do you want to hang up on Caitlin then? We can move on. Item 903-22, communication requesting the appearance of Kenesha Henry for an operator's license. Second request.
I will make a motion to receive and file. Or is deny? Yes, I'll make a motion to deny.
Second.
Discussion on the item? All in favor?
Aye.
Communication requesting the appearance of Mark Spang for an operator's license. Mark? Yeah, Mr. Earl. Second time?
I move to deny.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Next item, communication, submitting an application for reserved Class B retail fermented malt beverage and intoxicating liquor license for the Green Room at 3717 Douglas.
That would be me.
Yep, please hold up, we'll catch you in a minute here. So, first we need to swear you in, both of you, that everything you tell us this evening will be the truth. Hey, you can sit, that's perfectly fine. No Bible's required or anything else here. Just want your commitment. I would then ask the appropriate offices, clerk's office, everything in order on this application?
Yep, we are just waiting on fire and health for sign off from my end.
Okay, and the attorney's office, everything in order from your perspective for this?
It is.
All right. So, let us know about, give us the highlights of your business here, how you're planning to operate, those kind of things. And, you know, your security and hours of operation, those kind of things. Start with that, and then, we have that in front of us, but, you know, any highlights of that, and then we will have any questions we might have for you then. It's a good point.
Yeah.
And give us your names as well, then, too. Yeah, you know.
Richard Salazar.
Okay,
Woody Mogaco.
okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Smith not here?
Pardon?
Mr. Smith
Oh, no.
not here?
Because they had a problem at first with his background, and we still in the state of it,
Well, it still says he's the business owner.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I did already.
All right,
He did.
Okay. So clarification, business owner versus agent,
So only the agent is required to appear.
okay? So this means the business owner identified on here, we done a background check on the business owner as well?
He's disqualified.
So this was the one
Let's-
with the mix-up. They initially came back with the background check, that stated that he was qualified. Upon reviewing the records check, there was another person with his first name, last name, different middle initial. So that was a different person. This person that's on the application does not have a background.
that's why I'm here too, because I'm the business owner.
Thank you.
All right. Questions from the committee for the
I
applicant?
just wanna know what their plans are, what their.
Oh, that's right.
what their
That's right.
hat, you know.
Yeah, tell us that first.
So I'm the agent, it'd just be a neighborhood bar showing some sports, good drinks. About it, served responsibly. Normal operating hours, door closes at night. and, spilling out into the neighboring, disturbing our neighbors. But other than that, just the establishment, serving some good cocktails. You can watch the game, come in, coffee.
What's the capacity on your place?
15 people.
Right?
15.
15 people?
Yeah, it's a small little place, nothing crazy. During the week, we have 1 shift, on weekends, 2 shifts, hire local people.
Okay.
It should be open at by 2 AM on the weekend.
Yeah, but the door just has to be closed.
Right?
Yeah,
Midnight.
that's what I meant.
Well, we wanna close out midnight.
So you plan on closing at midnight, although you
Yeah.
give yourself the option of 2.
Yeah. So,
All the code?
Okay, so there's a problem over there. It's a strip mall. Limited parking. And what hours are you opening at?
well, during the weekday, it'll be like evening hours and the night hours, and during the weekend, more afternoon to
That's
evening
what
hours.
the hours are that they've given
So
themselves the ability.
There's a lack of parking over there that I'm really concerned about. You have a liquor store right next door, we have liquor establishments all up and down that road that are bar, and I'm not sure we need another one there. And being that that wasn't designed for that, being at a strip mall, I'm not supportive of this at this time because of that. Until everyone else speaks to the item.
Mhm. Questions for the applicant?
Always looking at me. Yes, of course I do. It is a very interesting location. It really is, and, it wasn't a bar. It has to become a bar. It was just, a business space. So it is at the tail, northern end of our access corridor, or the entry into our access corridor into Racine. So thinking about, the introduction of a tavern right there, it's really we're in new territory because, like I said, there wasn't that there already. It is tiny. It is a very tiny space. So it's none of my business per se to find out why the heck that location. So you don't have to answer that, but it does sit there because that's your business decision. And it doesn't really have so much bearing on where I go, but it surprises me. I do have a question for, I think maybe Attorney New or maybe the clerk's office. There was something with the Wisconsin Department of Financial Institution that it still had a former agent. Has that been updated?
Has been filed, so you just give me a second here, I can double check. My internet chooses now not to work, so let me try that. There's just a minute. Has been updated, yes.
Perfect. Okay, and the second question is, our Good Neighbors meeting that we had, I don't believe, Mr. Salazar, you were at that meeting?
He was not.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I just have a little bit of concern here because it seems like all parties are not from the area.
Well, he is, that's what we have him as registered.
Adjacent, yeah. I'm in Madison.
Right, but I guess what I mean in the area in our community, in Racine. So I see you're from Chicago, you're from Madison, and then I think Mr. Smith is maybe from Virginia, is that correct? So, I'd love hearing people want to invest in our community. So that's a positive thing. The concern is come and invest, but introducing alcohol into the area in a community you're not living, and then what if there's a negative repercussion to that? It wouldn't sting you, but it would sting all of us. So that is a bit of a concern. I understand the size, though, is very tiny, but doesn't mean big things can't happen in small places.
Sure.
So I don't know if you could comment.
Well, that's why we wanted to go to a small place, because it's like small and cozy, and we just want to make a local sports bar that could be contained and not cause many problems. And we did choose it because the businesses there close early, around 9 o'clock, and the other ones, there's an income tax place that's hardly ever open, the nail place closes early, and then there's like an arcade, game thing there that's barely open. So there's plenty of parking there, and that's why we thought it would work for us, and it would be like a new concept in the city, you know, in the nice end of the area there. So that's why we're willing to invest money and check it out, you know. And it was a Mexican restaurant, I believe, before, so it had a great kitchen, electrical system, and like, kind of like a kitchen, plumbing type of thing that we could use for the, bar. So it was like kind of fit perfectly, you know, so. And we like the small concept, we're not trying to, you know, make anything big, or, that's when, like you said, there could be problems anywhere, but also, smaller does contain a little better.
You opened and operated at any other bars using the same model? Or
In Chicago, yes.
I haven't been part of that. I managed in Madison and Oakland when I used to live out there. So I replaced other agents, and that's why I was on there.
Yeah, we had another agent, she lived in the area, she got pregnant and decided to move to Illinois to be with her family, so we, you know, unfortunately, we couldn't do anything about that.
I have a question regarding, your, like, employees that you're planning to, hire there. You said one employee full-time and 0 part-time, but you said you want to have, like, split shifts on the weekends. Like, how are you guys gonna figure that?
No, it has to be more than one, I think there's a misunderstanding, you know, like, probably like manager, and then like a door person, and like, at least 2 bartenders. So it'd be a minimum of 4 to 5 people.
Oh,
Probably need to update that.
We were planning on hiring locally for those people.
is that something that you need to have commanded?
Was wrong, I remember reading it as well. How many people do you full-time one?
help us understand that?
Oh, I'm sorry, there must be a misunderstanding, it was supposed to be more than one.
We probably need to amend the application for.
So unless the committee wants to make that a condition, that they hire at least
Okay.
5 individuals, then I would say they don't need to amend the
Okay.
application.
All right, thank you. Alder Peterson?
Is it Mr. Boca?
Mogaka.
Bogaka?
Mm-hmm.
All right, it says you live in Madison, according to what I read, you're gonna come on like weekends or something, or what's your plan? Because like,
So
all the
initially,
Australian stated, having somebody not in the area does raise a bit of a red flag. I like the idea it's only a capacity of 15. To me, that solves a lot of the problems, but.
of course, so initially it would be to train as a staff, I would be here more often, at least 5-6 days a week, until we got the proper procedures and protocols in place. And hoping that the manager on site and then everybody else, the local people, can kind of take care of it and not just limited oversight. So that's kind of the plan with that.
Thank you.
You 15 people enforced by any kind of code at this point, or is that just the amount of tables we're setting up, or?
I don't believe that they have obtained an occupancy permit yet, so that occupancy permit, the maximum is set by the building department. So that would determine how many people can be in the building at a time.
Thank
We
you.
did call the building department, I believe it's Jonathan Nichols, the architect submitted all the things, and we got approval at the very beginning. So he's the one who gave us yes, he came to the place and went
Thank
through
you.
it. I can tell you his exact, one second.
Ralph Nichols.
Ralph.
It's, Ralph Nichols at cityofracine.org.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. All right. Any further questions for the applicants? Please.
Thank you. Surrounding you, and you're sandwiched between those other businesses right there. And, I see your hours are posted, actually, what's on your application is starting at 12. So there is some overlap of when they are open, but I don't foresee that location, even though it's new and I don't know. Maybe it's just gonna have some beacon and everybody wants to go there, but I don't even see a 15 capacity being met. And even if it was met, I think there's ample amount of parking there. So, those businesses there are really a run-in and go, besides the hair, clippers, that we're seeing clippers. They might be there for an hour or two, or whatever else they're doing. But behind your business, I believe there is a drive coming in, because there's an apartment complex.
It's enclosed as back, that's what we liked about it too, because you can like let people smoke or something like that out there. You gotta be-
Isn't that, I mean, it's kind of tight, is it like access like an alley?
Well, again, it's all grass, it's all enclosed, there's no street at all. Like, I see the apartment complex that you're talking about.
Yeah.
They're a good distance away. We have just an enclosed fence with grass. There's nothing that leads us or there's no cars that come toward the back at all.
Okay, so I just heard you would have that as a smoking place?
If we have to, because we want to keep people out of the front.
Is that in the design plan, I'm curious? I don't recall seeing that.
That's what I'm saying, they drinking, they said smoking.
He just said smoking.
Okay.
It wouldn't be on the premise description then,
It
correct?
wouldn't, just
I
to
don't
have an
believe so.
allocated use?
So the premise description would include any area in which alcohol is sold, stored, or consumed. So if it's not as part of the premise description, you cannot have alcohol out there.
Right, no, yeah,
He's just talking about smoking.
yeah, oh, no.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the smoking,
Yeah.
because that was a concern too. People don't want to walk into that, and I
Right.
hope it would be, more of a set rule to
Oh,
have
yeah.
it
No
in the
smoking.
back, not in the front.
Yeah, of course.
That was going to be there. I will say this is a hard one for me. This is a real hard one, because it's a reintroduction to alcohol, right at our entry point of our corridor. That strip mall, or the couple other businesses there, it's not like they bring high attention to, we're seeing businesses, you know, they're, people are going to there for destinations, needs. However, we got Corden Dick's, that's kitty corner from you, too, that probably brings in the most amount of traffic to that shopping right there, that shopping center right there. And I'm just thinking this out, I apologize, it's quite an,
I'd like to ask the city attorney's office a question while you're
yeah,
thinking through
please,
that then.
yep, you go right ahead.
Can you tell us the implications of this being a reserve license?
So a reserve Class B license just means that at the time they applied, there was none available at the city of Racine, because we are at quota, and that is set by the state. So because this applicant wanted to open the bar, and they did not want to go on the waiting list, they wanted to apply immediately for a license, they did have to pay a $10,000, reserve license. So that's really the only difference.
It was 15,000.
15,000, it went up.
Yeah.
Went up? That's-
Is that a refundable fee, or is
No.
It is not.
okay, thank you.
Well, you're saying if they didn't get approved? Or if there's any way for them to recoup that?
What I'm saying is, assuming they get their license, we keep the $15,000, that's an investment on their part in essence, at this point then.
Very interesting, 3 individuals from different states Madison, but an hour and a half or
Different
so
station.
away, are putting $15,000 down, exceed the quota. Also investing in remodel, I've driven by, I can see that there's work being done in there currently, but to transform it into a bar space in an area that I don't know if any of you have even visited Racine or are familiar where our traffic and where people look to be entertained or where people look to shop. So this is, it's very interesting.
Other questions from anyone?
I like the 15 capacity. I prefer to have every bar at 15 capacity.
Vice Chair, would you like to make a motion, or would you prefer to defer on that?
I will defer to the committee.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve, and a second. Further discussion on the item? I have to just do a roll call vote on this, because it's... Alder Pearson?
Aye.
Alder Coe?
No.
Alder Capellian?
Aye.
Jared?
Aye.
Motion carries. It still needs to go through our city council, of course, before it's finalized, and you need to be in contact with the city clerk's office for the actual license, et cetera, then. Best of luck.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Let's see, we are on to item 752-22, communication, submitting an application for a Class B retail fermented malt beverage and intoxicating liquor license for Douglas Bar, during business at Liquor Time, located at 1717 Douglas Avenue. We have folks here to talk about that. First introduce yourselves and your roles in this application.
I'm Kareem Kiran, I'm the agent, this is Bashar Kiran, the owner.
Thank you, and I do swear you in. Do you swear that everything you tell us will be the truth at this time? With your hands up as well. Thank you very much. All right, city clerk's office, everything in order on the application?
Yep, looks like we're just waiting on a health approval.
All right, and city attorney's office?
Everything looks in order?
All right, so with that, please give us a quick overview of your operations.
It's gonna just stay the same thing, just a bar, pool, pool tables, just, same thing it was. We're not changing anything.
Okay,
We're just updating the building, just cosmetic work, that's it.
okay, hours?
The hours, on there, is gonna be from, 9 AM to 2 AM. Yep.
Yeah, okay. Questions from the committee?
Yes, my understanding is you guys are just gonna clean the place up and reopen it.
Yeah, correct.
Additional, what's the security situation right there? Are you guys doing any improvements, or are you leaving it as is, as far as cameras and stuff like that?
Well, we're gonna update everything.
Okay. And this was, so it's the exact same footprint, you're not using any of the other building that we...
Yeah, same.
All right. Alder Capellian, did you have questions?
Thank you. I see you have 10 full-time staff members listed on your application. Talk to me about that.
This is just a start, just to start as we go, we might add, we might delete. It's, depends how business goes.
It seems like a lot, but maybe because now I'm looking at your timing.
Yeah.
If you're open at 10, I guess one person, you don't want to be in there, so be,
2 people at a time,
Switch
different shifts, so it adds up, so 10 people's kinda actually low for those time,
And then, I see you have no food. I'm just wanting to confirm on your application, it says no food. It's gonna be in there. I'm gonna just tell you my concerns and allow you to respond. So now, being you're along this access corridor in Racine, and you're about midway through that corridor, right over in that location, there is some deterioration going on. We got Flatiron Mall, that's just right around the corner from you, and, I'm gonna just say where in that neighborhood. So, I'm just curious of your thoughts on how do you think this is going to improve it? Like opening up an establishment, because the Billard went down, right? And by now proposing this business and this business plan, I just wanna know how you're gonna contribute to the neighborhood or to the space.
Right now, you know, we wanna open it as is, and every building we go into, we bring revenue to it. We improve the building, we improve revenue in there, you know, we don't keep it the same way. You know, most of the, you know, a lot of businesses over there, they can't take over a business to keep it the same way. But every business we took over in the city of Racine, Mount Pleasant, we own multiple businesses, we improved them 1,000%. So as we go, you guys will see how we're gonna, you know, operate this and improve the area.
Cool.
So, I'm not really supportive of this. It's a 10,000 square foot building. You're really not, you're putting a Band-Aid on. When it was the pool hall, very few people went there. It's got a very, very small parking lot. And if you can imagine, that probably fit 200 people. You're not gonna have the parking there. There's lack of experience, you guys running bars. There's no history or experience of running a bar or a tavern. You guys have had problems at Twins over the different things. Yes, you have had different problems over there. And having a dance hall permit would likely create a lot of noise. And there's actually way too many places that sell alcohol on this area right now, and you're turning it into one big bar. I think it would be a detriment to the neighborhood, what happened, because I've seen it in other big places. And then you're not looking to really improve it or fix it up, you're putting a Band-Aid on it, you're gonna paint it, put new carpeting in according to the report like this. So I'm not really supportive of this at this time.
Please respond, as you...
You know, our other businesses, it's not like we create the problems. We work very hardly with the city, with the police department to improve everything in our areas. Not because we cause the problems, we run our businesses very well. You know, as far as the parking lot, there's over 50 parking spots over there, so there's plenty of parking. Putting a Band-Aid on it, we just wanted to keep the stuff the same. As we go, we'll fix it up. We're not just putting a Band-Aid on it. So as we go, you know, we were thinking about putting siding outside, but we wanna operate. It's sitting right now. We purchased the building, you know, we paid cash for it. We just want the building to start, you know? We want some revenue to come in, and as we go, we improve.
Elder of the district, did you have any comments you'd like to make?
Thank you. I've not spoken to, you gentlemen about your plans. I received notice of it when I got the agenda, item. I did hear from, folks in the neighborhood, and my concern is, the concentration of alcohol, establishments in that area. I don't know that it adds anything to have another bar, you know, in that particular vicinity. That's my 2 cents. So, you know, I appreciate you investing in the neighborhood, and in purchasing a building, that it's nice to have some life there. But I don't know that that's the best, use for the neighborhood or for the community.
When we purchased the building, that already had a bar in there. You know, we're not asking for, we're just taking over a business that was already operational.
It was a pool hall, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, we're keeping it the same.
Let's keep it in order here, guys. Questions aside?
Thank you.
Alder Peterson, questions?
I have a question.
Alder Coe? No? Alder Capellion?
Okay. So, you may not have experience with, a liquor establishment as a bar, but you have experience with liquor. You own some establishments, so I think you understand the responsibility with that.
We do.
I feel confident about that. I think the parking is ample. And I do, thank you for wanting to invest in the community, for sure. My concern is that is a pretty big space. And you're right, it was a Billard, it was a pool hall prior. But with, the investment of alcohol in space, what is the trade-off for the community? I would have to agree with the alder of the district. There is a concentration of alcohol around there, and like I said, there is some deterioration. I would love to see, and it's not my money, it's not my business, right? So I really have to look at what you're bringing before us, but, I'm bringing alcohol to already an area that is already has some type of hurt or pain or deterioration. I don't think that's the best use of a big space like that. There are certain things that I understand, like the old, I don't know what it's called now, but it used to be Pinocchio's, kind of kitty corner from there. That was sitting vacant for a while. I believe somebody has invested in it, but bringing food to the area and bringing some life to it, alcohol does have a negative effect, for sure. Especially right there, if you look at our different census blocks, right there, it's pretty poverty-ridden, and when you add alcohol to already very impoverished communities, there is a consequence that we end up paying for that. So, you know, I teeter back and forth. I don't so much question your experience, and I appreciate you want to invest, but I'm not feeling it. I just feel like it might be the wrong thing as we try to build our community, because as you can see what's been happening around, with lots of crime going on, there is a correlation between low income and also with alcohol to raise crime as well. So it's just, I'm teetering. Billard's left, but it was not frequented. I live there, it was not an active space. It sounds like this may bring more life, but is it the life that I'm looking to see or hoping to see in our community? So, those are my thoughts.
Alder Coe?
I'm not supportive of this at all, but if it's approved, I would like it to be approved with the condition that it be operated only as a bar and not a convenience store, and the condition that all sale of non-alcohol and non-tobacco items or merchandise are prohibited. So like things, in the convenience stores, you can sell whatever you want. I don't want that to be allowed at this establishment, and I don't believe it can be.
To the attorney's office, if we are to make a motion along those lines, is that something that can be enforced in an appropriate condition?
Yes, it would be a proper condition.
You? Any other discussion, questions for the applicants? Motion is in order. Anybody like to make a motion?
I make a motion to deny.
Second.
Second to deny. Discussion on the denial. It's the motion to deny, I should say.
Well, some of the things there's enough liquor establishments in the area. The neighborhood is a fragile neighborhood.
You guys would like to see an eyesore?
This isn't the first rodeo we've been on.
Okay.
I mean, like I said, there's just reasons, I just think it would be a nuisance to the neighborhood, and it's just a neighborhood that's really fragile. We're trying to revamp Douglas Avenue, and I don't think this is the way to do it.
I have a question to all the folks. So your motion to deny this application as written, and are you going to do the amended version? So just to flat out deny?
Say that again?
Yes.
Is that correct?
Oh, no, I'm
Just a motion to denial. If there's a motion to approve, then you'll put the amendment.
Yeah, well, that's would have to be, but I just don't think this is, it's a 10,000 square foot place. They were putting in a restaurant, they might have bringing different things in there. but there's no food being offered here or anything like that, and I just think it's not gonna be good for that area.
Alder Capellian.
And I'm of the position, I don't discredit what's been presented or the applicants who, I don't discredit you or your plan. I don't feel it's the right fit right there. So, that's the basis of my denial.
Salesperson or?
We've okayed a lot of bars and a lot of impoverished areas, so I have a hard time buying that as the excuse.
Okay.
I will be voting against the deny.
Any comments from the applicants here before we vote on this? Obviously a split committee at this point.
You know, we're good business people here. We have over 300 employees in the city of Racine that work for us. I live in the city of Racine, not Mount Pleasant. I live in the city of Racine. We're committed to this city for over 22 years. So we're not just any people that we're gonna just do any type of business. We run our businesses very, very well. We're not from out of state either, you know, so we're checking here, we do business very, very well. And all of our businesses are phenomenal, and we're constantly expanding our businesses here. And we're committed to the city.
All right, thank you very much. Further discussion?
I'm also taking what the alderman of the district had to say also. It has a lot of weight to it.
All right. I have a motion to deny the request for a license. So a roll call vote.
No.
Aye.
Aye.
No.
Chair votes no. Motion fails.
Motion to approve with the code set amendments. If you would like to repeat them, that'd be fantastic.
Approve with the condition that it be operated only as a bar and not a convenience store, and the condition that all sale of non-alcohol and non-tobacco items or merchandise are prohibited.
So we can't sell sodas or anything? Is that what you're saying, non-alcohol?
Okay, so
What
let's,
are you saying?
Let's ask the, city clerk's office to maybe provide some wording that would be more effective to.
sure, so you would have to operate as a bar and not as a convenience store. That means not selling items like
Bottled
lottery
sodas and
tickets.
stuff, yeah.
Right, if you do have a license for it, such as for non-intoxicating soda, you can certainly sell that.
Yeah.
So, how about non-alcohol, non-tobacco products, and anything without a license is prohibited?
Why is tobacco even being brought up at this point? There's no license for tobacco being requested at this point, is there?
So they do have a license that's in the application packet for tobacco.
Okay,
I was asked about vape products that do not contain tobacco, so that would be included. So they wouldn't be able to sell vape products if this were a condition.
do we have other bars that sell tobacco products?
Yes.
Questions for the city
Oh,
attorney?
I'm sorry.
Yes,
Okay.
I do believe we do have several bars that do that, or premises that do sell that. 'Cause
So
the
we
application
sell a product that cannot be consumed on site then, correct?
for tobacco.
Correct.
So a lot of Class A and Class B premises, when they do apply for those licenses, the application for the tobacco products and cigarettes is
Mhm.
in the application. That, I know it has been approved by the committee in the past.
So what I'd like to do, if the committee doesn't mind, is to split the question. First, let's address the alcohol license, and then separately address the tobacco. Is that acceptable to the committee, or?
Are you trying to change the amendment or do it without the amendment? What do you, I'm not exactly sure where you're going.
Right, do we have a second on this motion yet? And your motion is intended to,
Oh, no, I said it, my motion is still to vote no. So I'm just saying.
your motion with amendments, the purpose of your amendment was to prevent tobacco being sold there?
No, other than,
No.
he said.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so we have a motion as amended and clarified by the city attorney's office. We're waiting for a second on that motion.
I have a question on the motion, and
Okay, at the moment, the motion dies. The question you have then, Alder Jarrett?
It's for Old Cove. In the previous discussion, you said that you were against it because alcohol is very concentrated in that area, but
Yeah.
now you say you don't want them to have a convenience store, which should possibly sell other
No,
products?
because when they first came in, they wanted the convenience store over there.
Mhm.
And, but they couldn't get a license for a convenience store because there is none. There's no alcohol, there's no Class A licenses available.
Okay.
So that's the reason why they came back with a Class B.
Mhm.
Got it. And then another thing too, I mean, you guys plan on having any coolers outside of the bar area where you can get any beer, soda, or anything like that?
It's, we said it, same way it was, pool tables, bar, that's it.
Okay, Alder Peterson, would you like to remake your motion?
We make a motion to approve with said amendments as previously stated.
Yep, all right. Do we have a second? Somebody's willing to second a motion?
No, I just had a question, I wasn't.
Okay. Are you willing to second?
No.
All right, motion dies. So we've done nothing so far then. Options, city attorney's office, we can't say yes, we can't say no, maybe we receive and file.
So if there's no recommendation, it would go to the common council without a recommendation and be discussed, by the common council.
That is not an acceptable outcome. Alder Jarrett, are you willing to make a motion since you're not willing to second the previous motion?
I chose the second as written, without the amended, amendments, sorry, that are all the code at issue.
So you're willing to make a motion to approve as
Correct.
presented?
Correct.
Is there a second to the motion to approve as presented? Okay, we have a motion that's been properly seconded at this point to approve as presented without anything that, Alder Coe had specified. Question for the attorney's office, to the concern, the license we are granting does not allow retail sale of individual to-go kind of alcohol or anything along those lines to address the concern that Alder Coe has at this point?
So with a Class B license, they can sell certain things for off-premise consumption. That is limited to a specific amount and to a specific time. But as for the sale of, or the opening of a convenience store, no, they would not be able to operate as convenience stores or any other businesses. So when you are approving the license as submitted, you are approving the operation of a bar. So if at some point they turn it into a convenience store or start selling stuff that resembles the sale of a convenience store, that would certainly be a violation of the condition or of the license, and they could be suspended or revoked for that.
I walked into their bar under this condition, could I buy a six-pack of beer and walk out?
I will check the specifics. I believe
I mean, that's that's a personal. Nine o'clock.
it's not working.
No, alcohol's 9 o'clock, beer is midnight. Yeah.
Anyone have my manual? Take a look at that. Thank you.
Is it your intention to do that? Is it your intention,
See, that's first, to hear,
so,
Is that your intention, self-packaged goods?
No,
so you're willing to have a condition placed upon you to not sell packaged goods then?
sure, that's what it is, yeah, why not?
Okay, we have a properly seconded motion at this time. We can either vote on that, or amendments can be proposed to the motion we have at this time.
Is there any amendments? I would prefer them to come from Alder Jarrett.
There's, I'm glad you prefer that, but that's not the way it works.
I'm in question of that amendment, if it's written in our ordinance or in state statute. So we really couldn't offer that type of amendment, and it sounds like you already have a convenience store elsewhere. I don't think we can superimpose on them not to sell if it's written in state statute of how our language is.
So with a Class B beer license, they can sell premises they can sell for off-premise consumption, provided that the beer is in their original packaging or containers, or that it's in hand-capped or hand-sealed containers.
Okay.
And then as far as liquor is concerned, they can sell up to 1 gallon at any one time to be consumed for off-premises consumption. They would have to be in their original unopened package or container, unless it's a bottled wine. That
And is this committee allowed to restrict that
That aspect of it.
state and or ordinance, state law or local ordinance as a condition?
So the condition would be to prohibit off-premise. If the condition is to prohibit off-premise consumption, that cannot be done.
Okay, good question then.
If, under certain circumstances, you believe that it would be detrimental to the neighborhood to sell, for example, single bottles, you can make that a part of the condition of the license, but it would have to be with an explanation as to why that condition is reasonable.
Okay.
So you would have to express specific concerns that that is the problem, and that with that condition, you could address that problem.
Okay, thank you. The motion as it stands before us is to approve the license as applied for at this point. Further discussion, Alex Brellian.
Thank you. So, I am the county supervisor right across the street from you, and I kind of surround you because it goes right around your property, but not your property, but across the street and around it. Over at the Flatiron Mall, just right around the corner, we often see those experiencing homelessness. And that's where they're slumbering, and that's where they're sleeping, and then you will see going right through your parking lot. I just want you to understand what the climate is over there, the landscape, and hoping that you really understand that. And so when you, I assume that if it passes this committee, which it sounds like it's gonna go that way, that you take that into consideration and, you know, please help by finding some ways to bring a positive asset
So,
to
you
the
know,
community.
our kids go to Small World Montessori School down the street, so we know the area very well. If my kids go down the street, I know how well I'm gonna take care of the area over there, so you know.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Thank you. Alderco?
Didn't you just ask them about would they be willing not to sell goods to go, and they agreed to it, am I correct?
That is, but we consulted the attorney's office?
No, that can be part of the agreement if they agreed to it, am I correct in that?
The, just tried that and the motion failed, so I'm not sure we're getting anything
No,
back.
but when I'm saying they said they would agree to it, that's what I'm saying, because you asked them and they said they would agree to that.
I would not advise, because of what the license allows, specific in the ordinance and in the state statute.
Okay. All right. Further discussion? Motion in front of us is to approve the application as presented. Do a roll call. Alder Peterson?
No?
Chair votes aye. Motion passes. That's only through this committee at this point. I suspect there may be a discussion at the council level as well in this one, especially if the elder of the district is not convinced by then that it's a good idea. So, I highly recommend you show up to the council meeting, which would be,
Next Tuesday.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
thank you very much. I would appreciate if we would stand informal for 1 to 2 minutes here. I'd like to say it's for City Attorney Arn, but it's for me.
Yes.
Excuse me. Ouch. Ouch. Are we back? Are we online? All right, excellent, thank you. Next item is 88322, communication, submitting application for new Class B retail fermented malt beverage and intoxicating liquor license for Hotel Verdant at 500 Main Street. And we have, I believe, Emily Garofalo.
Close enough.
I just went with Jimmy Garofalo.
I know, well, so,
Garofalo?
we pronounce it Garofalo, but
Okay.
in Italy, they say Garofalo, so I can't.
All right, you are the agent,
I am, yes,
and do you swear everything you tell us will be the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you very much. First questions, city clerk's office, everything in order?
Everything, we're just waiting on health and an occupancy permit.
Okay, city attorney's office?
Everything needs to be in order.
All right, please give us an overview of how you intend to use this license.
Sure, so, Hotel Vernon will be an 80-room boutique hotel with a, ground floor restaurant, and then a rooftop bar, and then we also have a ballroom that will be served, hopefully holding a lot of events in the future, so there'll be a catering and banquet service for that, where, alcohol will also be served, I would assume, so, that's how we intend, to use the license, and, you know, I live in Milwaukee, our company is based in Milwaukee, so once we staff up and get management on site, we will most likely transfer the agent, to be someone who is down here and, you know, more on the premises than I will be from an owner or developer standpoint.
All right, thank you. I understand there's a lobby gathering area, et cetera, is that part of the premise description as well then?
Yeah, kind of the whole, it's kind of hard in a hotel to break up the description, but it's kind of the whole, you know, how it's, applied for, and if things need to be nuanced, you can do that, but the whole first floor is kind of just part of that, because there's a smaller bar that serves the ballroom, and then there are, you know, people could take their drinks out into the lobby, you know, if things are full other places, or, you know, they just choose to want to go sit in there and have their beverage out there, so, yeah.
City attorney's office, is the description appropriate and consistent then?
It is appropriate, so it would include the, hotel, the restaurant, lobby area, ballroom events that's located in the hotel's first floor, as well as the fifth floor and rooftop floor, and then alcohol will be stored in the lower level, first floor and fifth floor. And with the hotel, state law does allow guests to consume in their individual rooms.
Next question.
Okay.
Be mine.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Questions for the applicant from anyone? Alder Caprillion.
I saw you look past me, that was perfect. I'm glad you did.
Really?
Do you have a question?
No.
Okay. Emily?
Yes.
Do you, just curiosity, do you serve in another capacity for the boutique hotel? I know you're here before us for the agent, but
Yeah, I'm the project manager for the
Yes.
development team,
I
yes.
believe I went through a tour with you with a different hat.
Correct,
I am
talking
the,
about PACE financing.
I am the PACE commissioner for Racine, yes.
Yeah,
So,
that was me, yeah.
Yeah, all righty, so quite invested in that space for quite some time,
Yep.
and, there is a lot of improvements that have already happened, and, what you are proposing, to me, it would be kind of odd if you have food or, not to have alcohol, on the premise, so it seems fitting. I know that we had a neighboring, business apply for a liquor license in anticipation to you, opening up, or hotel opening up. And, that's an addition of 2 locations now downtown that can be offering more alcohol. So I just want to let you know, I am concerned, and not to say that it's not a controlled environment, but, please be mindful, it does change our landscaping downtown substantially, not only the beautiful addition, but, of offering more liquor to our community. So, you know, if it comes to a point, I hope that not only do you, take responsibility for, being an agent, but if we have to maybe address and combat, you know, community involvement or things like that, we do have right now those experiencing homelessness just a block away who kind of loiter or spend a lot of time on Monument Square. So I would just hope you think maybe, not to say you are directly responsible, but how can you contribute and be a community member as well? You know, looking at your new addition or becoming part of our community. So I hope you understand what I'm saying. I was trying to do it in a very roundabout way and not so direct. If you have to, you have to. I would just hope with that investment that you would want to find other ways to commit and help our community.
So am I allowed to respond?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so one thing that a hotel brings into a community that most other places don't is that it is a 24-hour-a-day business, right? Staff will be on site 24 hours a day. So it kind of brings a presence to a community that might not be there otherwise to help, you know, get some extra eyes on the ground. You know, we'll have, as we discussed during our Good Neighbors meeting, you know, pretty robust security system. We're working with a very experienced hotel operator who works in many different markets, a lot of smaller tertiary markets as well. So they have a lot of experience in that. And, you know, the goal with hotel establishments is that we want to create a place that people want to stay there, right? So we're not looking to do anything that will be detrimental to the community. So, you know, hotel bars are kind of a different animal than, you know, your average neighborhood bar. But, you know, I think hopefully, you know, we'll just be adding to the community, especially having that 24-hour presence that might not be there, you know, downtown with most other establishments that you have, so.
Yeah, please.
Thank you for that. Thank you, and I do understand that for sure. And I think maybe what would be helpful, and you're right, it's 24 hours, you're gonna have eyes on the community when some people are asleep or some people, you know, are at work, one of the things. But the one thing that we do have that might be detrimental to maybe your staff and your establishment is that we have a social worker that is at the library, which is right down the road from you, and we also have from our HOPE, H-O-P-E, from HOPE, they do street outreach, and that's 24 hours if you do come in contact with somebody in need. So maybe, you know, looking to have those numbers handy.
Oh, sure, yeah. Yeah, I think, you know, any support services that you guys feel will be very important for the hotel staff to have, we can absolutely, you know, work to make sure that they have that, so.
Father Coe.
Yeah, after lived or seen my whole life, used to go in that beautiful building when I was a kid when it was Zahn's department store. And I just want to say thank you guys. This is a huge boost for downtown. We've been waiting for this for over 40 years. It's been empty, so I really thank you for sticking it all, bringing us city together and stuff. So I support this wholeheartedly.
Discussion? Alder Coe, would you like to make a motion?
Yes, move to approve.
Second.
Amendment.
Further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. This will be at City Council on Tuesday. Probably don't need to be there.
Okay, I'll be
You don't have to come to the meeting.
Okay.
You're welcome to be there. We'd love to see you, but
Okay, denial of this might be in direct conflict of our development agreement anyway, so.
Whoa. It's too late to reconsider. Thank you, Emma.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
All right, communication on behalf of City Attorney's Office, submitting ordinance change to update municipal code to update the cigarette and tobacco license process. City Attorney's Office.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So as I stated in the agenda briefing memorandum, it has been a while since this ordinance has been updated. As I was reviewing it pretty recently, I noticed that a few things needed to be updated, mostly that there are some state statutes and regulations that aren't adopted as part of the local ordinance. This means, for example, if there is a violation, the only option is to refer to criminal charges, as you've seen in the past. rather than allowing, state or city officials to cite, using a municipal citation, so it go to municipal court rather than circuit court. So it just gives the city more options, when there are violations. It also adds, certain regulations or violations that aren't already in there, so it adds new ones. And then it also clarifies, that when a license has been denied, that the person is restricted from applying, reapplying, when they've been suspended or revoked or denied the application, that they can't reapply for another 12 months. I was asked, about the penalties that are listed in there under section 22-297, that's under your red line version. And actually, because there are a new set of state regulations that are being adopted, I do recommend taking out that entire section. So if you do approve, I would ask for approval with the amendment that you take out sections 22-297 altogether. And this is because all of the new regulations that are being adopted come with very different penalties. And because we are adopting the statute as a whole, there are very specific penalties that we do have to follow, and the local ordinance does have to strictly follow the state law. So it would make sense to take out this section so that everything that's in the state statute would also apply. It would be consistent.
So doing that means whatever they come up with at the state level will be applied here, and we do not need the section at all then?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Lerco?
I guess, what is our fee for that, for, tobacco licenses? Do you have any idea?
Clerk's office would answer that. I don't know what the application fee is.
The application fee is $100 and then $60 for record check.
Is that set by state law, by state statute?
No, it's set by the budget schedule.
Not that I wanna stick the cost on anybody no more, but that fee's been the same for quite a while. I wonder if we can amend that fee.
I think, well, I just told that was a budget item as opposed to part of the ordinance.
No, but couldn't we put that as a recommendation from us?
It's my opinion that putting dollar amounts inside of ordinances should be avoided if possible, despite our upcoming towing.
So it is in the budget, but it is also, in the state statute. They said upon written application, every year, the city and village and town may charge a fee for the license of not less than $5, nor more than $100 per year.
That's a renewal. What about an original application?
Filing of the written application, that is for a regular application.
Okay. All right.
Oh, wow.
I like the idea. City attorney's office is no fun, is what it amounts to.
Apparently not.
Questions? Discussion? Question is ordered, Alder Capellian.
All right, I will be happy to make a motion to, with taking out, with an amendment of taking out section 22-297 from or to approve this new cigarette and tobacco.
Second.
All right. Speed that up a little bit there.
Yeah,
Motion,
could
all
you
right.
do that? Thank you.
All right, further discussion on the item? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. The highlight of the evening now. Communication sponsored by Alder Co., submitting an ordinance change, to update the municipal code, to update towing rates as attached or as provided for discussion. Please, come on up, introduce yourself, and let's talk.
Good evening, Lieutenant James Hilke, I'm in charge of our courts section.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So, we received this amendment initiated by the city attorney's office, by the police department.
This actually came from the police department. Lieutenant Zilke, I believe, who reached out to me, identified that there was a problem with the towing rates. They might be too low. Some companies are looking to leave. I called in two of our licensees, I think we only have two on the list right now, and one of our former licensees, Floyd's Towing. We sat down with them, discussed the towing rates, and so they made a few requests, which is in the table before you that's highlighted in red. As I mentioned previously, because there are three towing companies, there is a range that I put in there because some towing companies didn't make a specific request for an increase while others did, and the amounts may be different. So that's why there's a range in there. And then they were also proposing to add certain add-ons. So this table dictates what these towing companies can charge an operator whenever a vehicle is picked up. If it's in an accident, if it's parked on the side of the street or abandoned, the police department calls the towing companies who are on a list. These companies come out, they pick up the vehicle, and then they charge the drivers directly. Sometimes they pick up city vehicles as well, so they also charge their city.
Okay. So Sergeant, a little background for you. We deferred this item last time. We had a really long meeting, and we didn't want to just, it would have been appropriate to try to discuss $125 versus $145, et cetera, et cetera. I committed to throwing something out there, basically. So I put that together over the weekend for a discussion document, and I think we all have a copy of that in front of us. Two things about it: I took the request into account and just sort of took the halfway point on the request in general. And secondly, I noticed that table was really complex and seemed unnecessarily complex. We towed under scenario A or scenario B, and it was the same rate anyway, so what did it really matter? So with all that, I threw something together and love to have you rip it apart if that's what needs to be done or whatever, and then we can have a discussion that's here. But your input to start with would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't have a horse in the race as far as the fees. I mean, the tow companies, one in particular, wasn't happy with the way things played out with the license application. They said they really don't need the business. One business does about 660 for 2022, shy of the month of September. The other one did about 670, and then one that wasn't called as much towards the latter part of the year, about 300 and some. So they don't necessarily need us as the city, but the city needs them. Because if we don't have something in place, and right now we only have two, and one of them's a little bit shaky as far as a company, you know, as far as inspecting their vehicles, et cetera. So we have to figure out a way to try and attract companies, licensed companies that are going to supply quality vehicles and a quality service within a timely fashion, right? The stipulation was within 30 minutes response time, and for these companies to do that, once again, there's only two that are really doing it right now. As far as the increases in rates, I think it was appropriate, since it hadn't been done in quite some time. So that was the reason for the discussion, bring the companies in to get their input, and once again, City New Orleans got all that info and then presented.
Thank you. Alderco?
So this is a range. I think, because we had a problem with another towing company, and some of them were charging the same fees, we kicked one out because of some of this. But I'd rather have one set fee for all of them, so we don't have any of this back and forth.
Yes.
I mean, and here you got to, so this is one fee for all of them, this is what we're at, because I heard you say
We had received from the city attorney's office a range of proposed, rates.
So you're proposing this.
I put specific rates together, more or less taking the middle of the proposed increase.
Okay.
That was. Alder Caprellian.
I have some questions on your proposal.
Sure.
Okay. I noticed that you included, night costs as well, but in some of the areas that we received from the attorney's office, the variation, for example, just pull one out if you don't mind, is the winch. They, you also have a night fee, which it wasn't proposed any additional fees for there being Sunday or a holiday. There were certain areas that were Sunday or holiday, just the standard tow and the standby, and then the per unit and note. So I'm not sure why you proposed night when it wasn't even on the table.
I ultimately put that together because to me, it costs more money to have somebody at night or on call for the weekends and that kind of thing, and to incentivize.
Can I just make a comment off that then?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, good. So my thoughts are though, because they're already paying an additional fee in just their standard tow.
Mhm.
All this stuff adds up, they might have to, do some of these additional things, which just then stacks onto it.
Mhm.
When they're already going up, and I think maybe that's the mindset of having holiday and Sundays being additional, having additional fees. So I think it encompasses some of these other items as well.
Mhm.
So that's my thought process.
Well, why don't we ask you, Sergeant, what observations for that?
Valid point, the winch, not so much, because the winch is a winch, whether you have to use it during the day or night. As long as it's a basic tow, the tow companies brought that, to the table, saying, hey, after 5 o'clock, we have to pay them overtime.
Yeah.
They have to come from their house now, so it's more time for them to get there. And because we do not allow them to park on the street, because it violates our ordinance, the shop now to get the tow truck to go, that was the, request, or that was their request, to add additional fees from 5 PM on.
Yeah.
Obviously yours said, 8 to 6, 6 obviously, 8 for night. But to add the additional fee being the winch, that in itself, maybe not, but the other, increase in fees definitely for nighttime and holidays.
So you're recommending keeping the winch at a consistent rate, but
Correct.
but the standby time and the other city mileage, those make sense to go higher than?
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna note on this, just so we all have something to work on then, so we change the winch to be $80 either way here then, day or night then?
I have a question of your 80, because it's not really in the middle. Where you came up with that?
Sitting around the afternoon looking at the tables. and
So
came
the
up with
range
numbers.
was 75 to 125. I can see where you did your
Okay.
basic tow, you kind of, it was 125 to 150 was the proposed for the basic, but yet for the standby, you went at 80, but it was not, oh, wait, now I'm getting a little lost.
Under B on the other sheet.
On the other sheet's, B4, no, I'm sorry, B5.
Oh, yeah,
75 to
yeah,
125.
75.
In the winching fee, I mean,
I'm right, yeah.
that can be, discretionary as well, whether you have to winch it, from the river.
Mm.
So, it could be some variation
Yeah.
in that. Whenever a tow company, from our meeting on, whenever they requested anything additional, because in the current agreement, they weren't allowed to charge for additional things. So whenever they would, if they had something like a car accident that went 2 blocks and they had to clean up, it was one flat fee. So that's not reasonable, right? So if you have to be out there for hours shoveling out a vehicle or cleaning that up, they would have to request that, or send that request in with an explanation.
Okay.
And I would approve that.
Complex then, anyway. So, would you recommend that the flat winch fee be 100 rather than 80 then? I don't really care what.
I think that's more reasonable.
Okay, thank you. Let's continue down the, I think I have everything included that was in there somewhere. So other service provided would be a no tow, they show up and there's no vehicle there.
Motorcycles. No shoveling.
So I included, let's go through these one at a time here
Yeah,
then.
that'd be great.
So,
Okay.
there was also a tire wheel change only.
If we could use the
Yeah.
red line
Yeah.
version,
That would be helpful.
that would be the most helpful.
Okay, so what I did, so everybody's aware then, I went through the red line version, anywhere I saw multiple of the same thing, I said, we don't need it in there multiple times.
Mm.
So that's how I got to the list I'm on here then.
Gotcha. So starting back at the top, if you don't mind, if I can refresh, where we're starting, so the standard tow, you proposed 140 for the regular, and then nights, and I'm assuming is that nights, Sundays, and holidays?
Yes, that should say night.
Okay, nights, Sundays, and holidays.
And clarification on that,
Yeah.
you wanted it 8 to 6, is that what the
Yeah.
commission,
They,
as opposed to the 5 PM? I mean,
Normal work
that's
hours are
totally up
5
to you.
o'clock, that's why they're saying 5 o'clock,
Yeah.
correct?
I'm sorry.
Their normal work hours are 5 o'clock, that's why you're
They get paid
saying.
overtime after 5.
Yeah.
You guys can say whatever hours you
Well,
want.
no, I
yeah.
guess I would, back to the standard 8 to 5.
I'm leaving it up to you guys at this point.
5:30,
You know what I put in on it.
Yeah, me put
This
it
is a
quite a bit.
discussion I did not want to have. I thought we'd have something, I said, okay, and go, but now we're having that discussion anyway, so please carry on. I will chair the meeting, do not ask my opinion.
We like your opinion.
It's there, it's right there.
Yeah, but we need your thought process behind it too.
So I remember the tow truck, one of the companies was here, I was virtual, so I couldn't see, and they had talked about a 5 PM end time. So I think it's not up for us to say what time they end or not, so.
Are we still on the standard tow?
Yeah. So Sundays and holidays and after 5 PM, 5:01,
Yeah.
we have 160 proposed by the chair, and I see what's being asked is 165 to 175, but it was 125. So 125 to 175 is the range, but you're including holidays as the same as every other day for after hours.
I assume that boils down to what they have to pay these guys. They probably
Yeah.
pay them time and a half regardless.
Well, I was just saying, I mean, that should be a whole different rate itself, Sundays and.
You could do the holiday, the Sunday holiday rate is the same as the night rate, because they're getting paid overtime for nights, Sundays and holidays. Wanted to lump that together, to me, that's the way I understood it.
Yeah, that's the way
From yours.
it's proposed, I was just thinking, man, if they're coming out on Christmas, and then coming out tonight,
Some might wanna get out of the house.
coming out tonight at,
Yeah.
on a Monday.
Come well without a call at all.
Some are waiting with their pager, please.
We'll be there in 30 minutes, so I can see why the Sundays and holidays were on here, but.
Their rate was 165 to 175, and
Well, their rate was actually 125 is what it was, but right, they're
Correct.
proposing
I
165.
did take that into account, the
I
current
can
rate
tell.
when I did as well.
Yeah. Bye.
Clarify, the committee wants to keep it 8 to 5 as proposed,
Mm-hmm.
140 for the standard toll for regular price, and then for Sundays and holidays and nights, 160 all around.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we're just
We're
discussing at
discussing
160, all right, yeah.
I guess I'm not sure what we're discussing here.
Yeah.
These are suggestions, this is what's on the board, correct?
Yeah.
This is just what the tow companies had suggested and what we had, and this is just, a proposal.
All right, so I guess I'm wondering, if we're looking to amend something, are we amending something? Or do we have something that, these are both just proposals and we vote on
Yeah.
each one individually?
We need to put together a schedule, speaking as chair here. What we have received so far from the city attorney's office was not a proposal, it was a range of potential responses. So we couldn't just say, let's approve what the city attorney's office said,
Yeah.
because it's from here to here kind of
Right.
thing. And I put here in between, that proposal.
might I propose that you go line by line on yours, and then for the deviations, you can go off and have a discussion on those. Want to change those?
It's been asked to do the other way around, but, yeah. So, right, to see if we need to amend, Chair's proposal. So do we think it's fair that they're getting $20 an additional amount for nights, holidays, and weekends for Sundays? 20 additional dollars, which they received before only 10 additional dollars.
Costs more to maintain the equipment.
Now we're doing $20 additional.
But it costs more to maintain the equipment, it costs more to get the drivers. Whatever we put in there, it's gonna be for the long haul, so.
Attorney New, when you talked to those three companies, did all of them weigh in on this, or is this one tow company's proposal, this 165 to 175?
So, for example, if you take a look at the 110 that's crossed out, that's the
Yeah.
original amount.
Yeah.
125 means one company, at least one company asked for 125.
Yeah.
To 150, one company asked for 150. The other one may be somewhere in between.
Yeah. All asked, I'm looking at Sundays and the holidays, at 165 to 175.
The other alternative that the committee has is rather than going line by line, you could pick a percentage, perhaps equal to the inflation rate, and raise everything by the same percentage. That might be an easier way to do it.
Any preference?
Can you give us an example? You said just pick a percentage, right? You should pick a percentage, I just want us to get bogged down in this. So is that pick a percentage, like we just threw in a number, or like do you have a percentage in mind?
I don't have a percentage in mind, that would be up to the committee members.
When were
I
these
just think
last
it might be a uniform.
When were these last
rate
updated?
increase. These were last updated. It's difficult to tell because the ordinance itself was last updated in 2019, but the fee schedule, it was unclear to me which parts of the fee schedule were updated when. So it could have been piecemeal, but the last time it was updated in general was 2019. Or at least one of those changes.
Can I make a suggestion?
Please, Alder Peterson.
All right, can we just go down this list, referring to
Yeah.
Alderman McCarthy's, and insert where we feel it's so appropriate, just one at a time, it'll be quick. I'm all on board with Alderman McCarthy for the most part.
Yeah.
But like, I don't see Alderman McCarthy in there.
No,
So I just wanna go down
Yeah.
each one at a time. I think it'll be quick, I don't think there's a whole lot of disagreement here.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
okay,
So
well,
we
you
start
start.
All right, start with the first one. Standard tow, 140. Everybody okay with that?
Yep,
Yeah.
and night 160.
That would be the next one.
I would say up the night and holiday, for sure. I mean,
Standard,
that's just going,
night and holidays, they want from
Down.
150, companies want from 150 to 165, so 160 or 165 is in the middle.
no, go up one.
Part of the issue, these rates appeared on several lines with different proposed ranges.
What I got
That's why I
from
proposed a
the
simplified
standard,
table.
what I got is, companies want 150 to 185 on Sundays and holidays. Okay, so I missed the night. That's after 6,
Yeah,
so it's basically the same thing.
yeah. At a loss some prices.
All right. 165,
165,
nights and holidays.
I heard.
It's in the middle of the 150, it's in the middle of the 150 to 185.
Right,
Is that okay?
all right, and 140 for the 8 to 5, right?
Correct.
All right,
Why are you keeping that up? What's that?
165.
For the night,
Sunday nights and holidays.
165 nights and holidays.
and then regular nights and holidays?
Regular nights,
Regular nights, I mean?
everything is after hours, so nights
Yeah.
and all holidays is overtime for them companies, so they're all gonna get that fee.
So 165,
after
night-
5.
except the standard tow day,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay, motorcycles, 35, sounds good to me.
Okay,
Mileage for out-of-town trips, they have 450. Alderman McCarthy has 4 and 450 depending on the time of the day.
That was chosen because the person will be driving that vehicle for a greater amount of time, and therefore.
So I'm fine with 450. Everybody okay with 450?
yep,
Okay, administrative. They have going from 25 to 40. Have an administrative in here?
I do not, what is administrative?
That's them filing the paperwork, sending stuff, sending.
Okay.
That's administrative on their end, not.
Okay.
Correct.
Discussion on that from 25 to 40.
I don't know.
No,
about that.
I think that's a good one, I think that's fine.
No, that's completely reasonable. I don't think they need after-hour administrative. You don't need to send a lien in the middle of the night.
No, they would
Lien
do
any
it
time
in
of day.
daytime.
Do you agree with that, Sergeant?
The administrative fee, one solid fee, or one,
Yeah,
oh, yeah, absolutely. No, there's.
All right, snow shoveling going
so
from
$40
$25
for the administrative.
40 for admin?
40 for admin?
I don't know if
Okay,
I
sure they
would,
let
I
me know
don't
that
know
question.
if, yeah, I don't know why increasing administrative to almost double.
Well, I'm guessing it's
Well,
strictly inflation. I mean, we haven't done anything in so long. If you have a different number, I'm more than willing to.
Yeah,
you
well, that's
think-
double.
Some
All
of
the
that's
other numbers were not
It's not
double.
quite double, but
60% increase, I think that's.
if you have a number in your head,
Yeah.
well,
but I think because of cost of ink, paper, or, you know, ink for printing these things out and stuff.
Versus your administrative person that used to make $9 an hour, and now making $15 an hour. 60% increases seems perfectly reasonable.
Credit card fees, like you said, the printers, the ink, the
Yeah.
paperwork that they have, there's certain fees that they have to pay to send stuff out as well. That's incorporated in there.
Did they have to pay to send something out?
From other companies. I don't recall the specifics, but they said something, legal paperwork.
Like, for example, a car gets wrecked that is leased through Volkswagen Credit, just to pick a company randomly there then. You get Volkswagen Credit, is the lien holder either on the lease or on the, payments, if it's a purchase as well. That has to be forgiven as part of the, disposal of the vehicle process. Volkswagen Credit
So
charges
what's
a fee
the
for
other,
that.
the number in mind?
I'm just seeing almost double compared to all these other numbers. That's the only area that we're doubling it up. So, I don't know. I mean, if you guys are all comfortable, I'm willing to fall to the consensus for the overall. If you guys are all saying 40, then I won't combat it.
Where it says same, that means at least one company did not make a
Oh.
request.
So if we go to the middle of the road there, so
what would you like, 30 or 35?
35.
Okay, 35 it is. Everybody else okay with that? I shouldn't say 35 it is, you are the chair, I apologize.
No,
Yeah.
I have deferred on this one.
Yeah.
All right, 35 on the administrative. Snow shoveling, looks like it's going from $25 an hour to $25 a half hour, is that correct? Okay, that doesn't seem outrageous to me, being that shoveling snow, one is a pain in the butt, and two, I can't imagine,
Oh, my gosh.
I
Can
can't
you
imagine
talk to me
shoveling
about
for a half
that a little
hour.
bit? It's snow shoveling, so if you call them to remove something like from the other day,
Now, yeah, if they're out there, they were getting,
25 an hour.
they were getting 25 an hour, shovel out a car.
I would recommend adding snow shoveling into, along with the debris pickup. It's just a cleanup thing. Use the rates. Come up with for debris.
Okay,
Does that
what
work
do
for
we
you,
have for
Sergeant?
debris?
Is that part of just the cleanup in general?
Oh, debris is an aftermath. That was not an
Snow
aftermath.
shoveling's only one part of the year.
Wouldn't expect to see one in July.
Kind of an
Yeah,
add-on
but
to the
did-
cleanup, you gotta clean up plus the after clean.
Oh,
I mean, the dollar amount, you can do whatever you want on that.
where's your debris?
It's not very often that that's included. That they're doing that.
I just hate to see a guy pick up a shovel, take one scoop, $25.
Yeah.
Can't keep it the same. Change it.
$1 for an hour?
Keep it the same. I'm okay with that. They want 25 a half hour, you're
No.
talking about keeping
Okay,
it
keep
25
it
an
the
hour.
same is my thoughts, but I'm only one.
All right, I'm okay with
Because
that.
you're right, if they're out there for 5 minutes, whoever said that.
$25 an hour.
Okay.
All right, winch,
Same.
the same 125?
Same two, 125.
So, pardon?
It's saying two, 125.
Oh,
So somebody
right now
said the
it's
same,
75?
somebody proposed 125.
Yeah, winch, it was 75. I think I went to 100,
Yeah.
100,
100's exactly halfway in the middle.
All right, 100 on the winch.
okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
Off-road, up to 150.
I think it's just 100, if you have to winch, you have to winch, right?
Not if you have to pull it out of a ditch or a culvert or something, it's gonna be a lot more. That's why it's written like that.
Mm.
What was it, 125? What was,
Yeah.
25 days?
25, I'm good with that.
Okay.
Leslie, you good
Yep,
with that?
that's fine.
Okay.
Standby time.
Can I ask a question on the winch out?
Yeah.
Yes.
It had $75 show up fee plus up to 125? Is that what you're stating? Are you stating?
I believe so.
What do you mean?
Because
It's
a
just-
winch out is non-accident, they're talking non-accident, so they're showing up, $75 to show up, then they charge you to tow out, correct?
That's what it states.
So they can
That's
drive
what it
away.
stated. I'm
Yeah.
just asking for clarification on what you're proposing.
So if they show up and there's no toll, we're still gotta pay them $75?
Yeah, as long as they call, they're the ones that call them, yeah.
There's a separate no-tow fee down there.
Yeah, it's $74.
That would apply to the winching as well, I assume, then.
Winch out or off-road winch, no accident, no towing fee applies.
Right. Yeah, they're just,
They're just winching it out,
right,
they're off-road.
yeah, I mean, but if you're stuck off the road somewhere, what's it worth to you?
Yeah.
I mean, one you gotta pay, you gotta
Down
get
a big culvert,
I have a question. And so you said it's 74 show up fee plus up to?
Correct. That's what it
Oh,
states, and I'm asking
Oh,
what you guys are.
that's what,
Mm.
okay, that's what he wants clarification on.
Oh, yes,
So it's plus.
understood.
Being there, if they showed up and didn't need to winch, they'd still get paid then.
74, and then we upped it to 125.
Here.
no.
What did they?
So I mean, if they if they don't winch it out, it's $74, right?
Mhm.
But it says up to, I don't want them to come there and say, well, we ain't winching and we're giving them $150.
No, that's not what.
I know, but I
It's
wanna
whatever
make
your
sure, 'cause it's like
proposal is.
250.
It says plus winching fees, 74 plus winching fees, so if you don't winch, you don't get the extra.
Okay, well, just make sure that's,
It says that in there.
okay.
So does anybody have a problem with the 150, or they want it lower, are they good with it?
I think you proposed 125.
125 state proposed, I think she did,
I
right?
propose 125.
Good with-
125, I don't have a problem with it. Anybody else have a problem with 125?
That go once, going twice, John.
130.
That's a halfway.
Oh.
Okay.
All right, standby time, prorated.
Half of the tow rate is right,
All
come up
right,
with
yep,
that.
70, I'm good with 70 for the regular day.
Tow rate has gone up, the 80 should go up then. That's the way I did it, I did half of the tow rate.
Okay. And the tow rate went up $5. 55? If we're gonna do it all the way.
Can you explain the crash wrap,
If they have the wrap where the window's broken out, so glass isn't falling as they're driving.
like a saran wrap kind of thing?
Similar.
So there needs to be a fee being that they have, they're using something that's cash.
I did that, cover that one, so.
$30?
I don't have a problem, $30, chances are you're wrapping more than one.
Yeah.
Yeah, per window, they're charging per window. So if you
Oh.
have a good accident, you could have 4 or 5 windows knocked out of there.
Okay, so 30 is good.
Is good with that?
Good. Terry's just tapping away over here.
All right, tire change.
Wait, you didn't-
Come on, guys.
Oil dry, stay the same, don't need to touch it.
Okay,
It's
oil dries the same.
Okay,
Request.
perfect.
It's listed under cleanup, by the way, down there. while
Oh,
it's
okay.
Tire or wheel change, 25 to 40. That's a range, what do you guys want? 35.
No, between 20 and 40, so 30.
I got 25 to 30, 40, but either way.
Oh, wait,
20.
why do you have 7?
They had to come out either way.
I got it crossed through 20, and it says 25 to 40.
Yeah.
So what would you,
My reasoning was they had to come out either way. I don't see it any different than standby time. They're actually working harder than standby time. It's funny to do it then.
Yeah, but
these are their suggestions, 25 to 40.
Yeah.
What would you like?
well, between the
Mr., oh, the quote
proposed
said 35.
30.
Right, 30, three at 30, that's good. All right, $30 for the for the tire change. Down to the add-ons. Proposed by hookup company, special equipment needs, defined more specifically, light cleanup needs to be defined more specifically.
Deal with the cleanup, I did it by hour, debris first hour and then follow-on hours.
All right,
Good or bad idea, so I did it by cleanup.
debris. You have debris for hours. And they have it at just a set fee. So if it takes them, so you have it at an hourly rate just for the first hour, so it could be 5 minutes, they still get $40, correct?
Mhm. Hours, the reason trying to define a large or a small cleanup was, struck me as a fool's errand.
They have 30 for one, 35 for another, special equipment, 5 for heavy cleanup.
I'm actually going with the chair's logic on this one, because, right, it's very subjective, who's gonna define a small and large.
Other add-ons, proposed by the towing company.
Are they there for more than an hour for cleanup sometimes?
Sometimes.
Person we had here.
By the access
meeting. Specifically said you could have to walk 100 yards down the road to
Yeah,
get
one
stuff.
by my daughter's on Washington, 4 cars.
All right, so
So I'd like, I'm good with, chair's proposal.
All right, so for cleanup, first hour, normal time, $40, after hours, $50 an hour. Anything after additional hours, so that's the first hour. Second hour forward would be 20 and 25, regular hours, after hours.
And what is the oil? Yeah, what is the oil?
30 and 40.
They already have oil dry in there.
Oh, it just says oil, well.
Does
Okay, oh, yeah, if you would need
Clean
that,
up
you're gonna
oil.
go be on
Says
oil
fuel
dry.
They have
Yeah,
oil
okay.
dry. They have oil dry in there.
I couldn't understand.
Fees would be in addition to oil
Then it'd be
dry.
the oil dry.
Oil dry, so use the,
They're in, it's in there right now at equivalent application cleanup. So they have in there at 55 at putting it down and cleaning it up, and 30 at just cleaning it up. So we're kind of in the same neck of the woods, putting it, I mean, that 55, that's what's in there now, or is that something that everybody agreed to? Why is that what?
it's what one company is asking for, everything that's in
Thank you
red.
for the clarification.
Why would you charge for oil dry a different rate? Items, product.
Yeah.
So they would just put it down, they put it down, they keep it up, clean it up, dispose of it properly as well.
Oh, you're saying with their labor?
Well, they're
Well, I
putting
would
it
think
down on
their
oil.
labor would be, their debris cleanup would be under their
Oil dry,
hourly.
yeah. Debris cleanup is more of a shovel. To physically put down the oil dry, that's a cost to the company.
No, I understand that, but my question was, why is there a different night fee for a product?
Oh, got it.
Because I would figure their hours of working, they're under their debris cleanup. So
I differentiated between debris and oil, as
Oh.
Alder Peterson did here, and they're getting paid more at night to do the shoveling and sweeping up of the stuff than they are during the day. Product part stays the same. Fixed cost and variable cost, you know.
So on a receipt, under their on a receipt, if there's oil involved, they wouldn't have debris. They would have a debris and then oil.
They're separate things.
So sometimes they just do oil.
I don't recall seeing on a receipt if it said oil or debris separate.
Yeah.
But we have separate lines on there right now.
Well, it's being proposed as separate lines, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't have it.
These are all add-ons, you can just consider
Well,
it part
wait.
of the cleanup.
Yeah, I mean, they do have oil dry already up there, 55 and 30.
Yes, they're separate. That's something they want. And they don't get right now, correct? Something they don't get the $55 right now, or the 30.
Well, they do get the
It's a
55 and 30.
It's a standard.
That's, all right, so yeah.
They already get it.
So this was a request by Hooked Up Towing,
Yeah.
and I didn't understand why it was separate from the oil dry that's already at the top of the.
Yeah, that doesn't make any
I would
sense.
recommend that you take that, new additional, because it is already up there.
Better.
That makes sense. It's already up there, more than what's being proposed. Okay.
John? SB towing, separate category, recovery.
Prices recommended were the same. I don't know what the difference between a Class A and a Class B tow is, but the prices for recommended is the same. I just, towing.
Oh,
Can I,
Could somebody explain to me why towing companies, I don't know what the per unit, $100 minimum.
Class B is a bigger vehicle.
So if they gotta bring in a bigger tow truck. Correct.
like, up on top, you have basic tow and large tow then.
okay.
How about instead of that range, it was 165, it says 185 to 225, make it 200?
They got a range, we gotta figure out, so.
Right, well, I'm saying they want a range, if they are gonna pick the highest, so we should put a number in there, that's what
They have an hourly rate there, they don't have a unit rate. That's what they're charging per hour, because they're bringing in their biggest vehicle, their biggest. So $200 an hour per unit, $100 minimum, to show up, it's $100 minimum, but so whatever we choose per hour. Anybody have a number? Obviously, they have a different number for, like, weekends. Holidays, whatever, they have $250 an hour. I'm kinda at the 185 myself,
Okay.
and 225 for the nights and weekends, that's where I'm at, it's kinda like in the middle of where they were. 185 is a pretty good number for an hourly rate, I think, but that's just,
All right, and 225 after hours?
that would be my suggestion.
Okay.
If anybody else has something else?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Right, go down to storage. $40 a day, cars outside storage. Storage. Right, storage. How would something be stored by indoor other than, request? Everything's pretty much stored outdoor, correct?
That depends on the tow company, what they have for indoor storage and outdoor storage.
Right, but generally that would be upon request, they wouldn't just start throwing stuff inside if they got room in a building just to get more money.
Not to give more money, but if the windows are all blown out or something, and it's on a year, they might store it inside, depending on what they have, and how much. A lot of them don't have a ton of space to store stuff inside.
Yeah, most of them are.
Do we need to weigh in on that at all? We get it towed there, and then it's up to the owner whether he wants to store it inside or not, and he.
So it sounds like
No,
there
but
might be.
that's kinda where some got in trouble, because there's different fees charged by different ones. Had a tow company get in trouble for.
Okay,
So we could
the
have
question
50?
would be, do we need to set the rate for the indoor storage, in your opinion?
We don't need to set it. Just each
Say-
individual companies can set it.
agree with that?
Although, we do have it here on
I
the
think we need to
site.
put a cap on it.
We actually have it on here.
Okay.
We need to put a cap on
There's
it.
a cap on it because they're requesting it through the city. Like if they just called, get it on their own, then Floyd's charges them what they charge them. But because it's a city, they're acting as a city entity.
We will never tell them they have to store this vehicle inside.
No.
So why do we need to set a rate on it?
Because the towing companies then decide that, and then they
It's
charge
called,
more
yeah.
money. Yeah.
Capitalism, yes.
We need to cap, I think what we're saying is put a cap on it, not set a rate.
Yeah. I said that's worse.
Maybe not?
Before one got in trouble.
We have per day, so up to,
You're right.
So these are
I
max,
mean, that happens.
So
It,
changing your response on that, so we should have a cap or some kind on it?
you should have a cap.
Okay.
If they're gonna act as a city entity, yeah.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
okay, thank you for the advice.
change it to up to, although you just said that's max.
It's
but that
$10
was-
more than outside, I don't think that's unreasonable for an inside versus outside, $50
Okay,
cap.
that sounds good.
so even though the table is meant to set the maximum rates, when I spoke with the towing companies, they do look at it as the rate that they
Mhm.
have to and will charge. So they're not going to charge less than any of the
No,
others.
So that's why.
It's a standard.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one flat fee.
That's why we gotta put a number in.
Where do you have, oh, after hours. Okay, what were you at? What were you at, Alder Peterson, for storage?
I was fine with what they had down there at 50, inside storage,
Okay,
$40 outside.
Okay.
Truck, tractors, trailers, all large vehicles, per linear foot per day, $2. No,
That's what I put down too. It's anything over, up to 25 feet, the biggest standard car, pretty much, and anything beyond that.
station,
tractor, trailers, per linear foot per day, same thing, $2
yeah, it was like,
per linear foot
Yep.
per day. All right. So, after hours release charge of vehicle and or property, any release is at the discretion of the towing agency.
That to
Can
call
that be
from-
explained?
I'm guessing the verbiage means that if they choose not to release it after hours, they choose not to release it after hours, but if they do, they're gonna charge that fee.
After
Yeah,
hours
my
being
understanding of that.
weekends as well, I would assume?
I would certainly imagine.
I'm pretty sure that means somebody wants their car in the middle of the night, and they said, I gotta send somebody in to give you your car, I'm gonna charge you for that
Yeah.
then, if I even can send anybody in.
Yes, all right. All right, they're looking for,
well, I think what, the chair has proposed is just a flat rate, no matter if it's
Yeah.
nights or holidays.
I would make a flat rate on that.
Yes, nights or holidays, it should be in the right column actually then.
yeah, yeah, it should all be
Right.
one, nights and holidays and
Far right
after
column.
hours.
Yeah,
During the day, there should be a charge.
Anybody have a number in mind? They have two different numbers?
I'd say 85 is, they didn't have it before, so it's a good place to
I would say the 75 then, if they didn't have it before. I don't know.
They're charging 0 for during hour storage release, this is their number for after hour storage release.
Right.
Right now, they're getting nothing.
Are they
Somebody
even
said the
going in?
same, although somebody said
Well,
the
if-
same.
I mean, if they're.
Well, if they go in, we give them a price.
This time they might not even release it after hours. They don't get anything.
Maybe said enough.
All right, throw a number out there.
75.
75.
Okay.
All right, 75 it is.
The babies say no.
After hours and
Picking
holidays.
and saying, I'm gonna go home.
He's saying, I hate towing rates.
So we're going here, huh?
Okay,
Done?
so, we have a proposed schedule at this point.
Okay, no,
We're not
that
done.
was just page 2.
Yep. I think it's all repeat after that.
Well, you really only have a few more at the top, and then the other ones are just proposed new categories, which you don't have to do, so
Okay.
it's up to you.
Okay.
We'll pass on the new categories for now.
What was the
I
next
see.
one?
So the Class A
All right.
towing services?
That's Class A towing services,
Which
tow
is
to city impound.
which is to me, was a standard city tow. I don't really care whether it goes to the impound or their house or anywhere else, it's a tow within the city.
We proposed 140.
I don't think we even need that line. That was my whole trying to simplify here. We tow anywhere in the city, it's $140 or $180. We go outside the city, we charge an extra $4. Wow, then, do you really care whether it's going to the impound lot or to their garage?
I agree.
So I can add to the first chart on the first page, taken to tow company yard or release the owner or to city impound. And this is the same.
Yep, perfect.
Anywhere within the city.
Yep.
Same thing with the Class B towing. Okay, so unless you want to take up the new categories that's being requested by Floyd's Towing,
Yeah.
I think a lot of that stuff's already standard, so.
It's
A lot of the stuff's
it's
A lot
already
of that
there.
stuff's already covered.
Yeah, we've done all that stuff already.
so the last page is the only thing you have left, which is vehicles owned by the city, which has a special rate.
Which here I proposed 80% of the rate for the city, gives a 20% discount for sending business their way. Does that make sense to you, Jeff?
Sounds fine. Perfect.
Oh, you had more than one.
All right.
Wait.
Can I start chairing the meeting again, yeah?
No, what? I wanna go back, I'm so sorry, because I need that oil dry, again, we have those two lines, oil dry, it wasn't making sense to me, oil dry or equivalent, application and cleanup, oil dry or equivalent, and or part cleanup only.
I have a line for debris and I have a line for oil, on my proposal.
Does that make sense?
That doesn't make sense the way they've written it. I'm
I don't get it.
reading it to be parts cleanup only for the
Yeah.
second line, because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Not applying.
They're not putting
Oil dry.
oil dry down
It's
to
just
suck up the
have
oil.
the same verbiage.
So, we already have debris for the first hour, so can we remove that one new? Do you see where it says oil dry or equivalent and or parts cleanup only?
Yes. So
Okay.
just leave on the first one, leave the first one, application
Yeah.
cleanup 55. Take out that second line.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, and then, I don't know, the committee decided on the time, are you sticking with 5 o'clock, or are you
8 to 5?
8 to 5.
Okay, all right, I think I have everything in order.
Okay, now that we have a table, we have two things before us, and we can choose to actually approve this table right now, or we could ask the city attorney's office or sergeant to take it to the companies out there, and
Well, they want more and more.
they've already given us the ranges there, then they may have some concerns about it, and we've done. Sergeant, do you have a recommendation?
My opinion is the numbers you've come up were very well within what they proposed.
Okay.
I don't think it's worth taking it back to the
Okay.
two companies.
Ultimately, do you think this is going to at least have us keep our two companies?
I hope so.
The rest you can answer that then. All right, so, yes,
I would just ask that the committee, at least defer it for one meeting, so that I can revise the table, so that you see it, a complete table, rather than
Okay.
the chicken scratch that I have in front of me right now.
That's
And
fair.
then approve it at that time.
okay, that's fair. Could you, at that point, consolidate the table as well as much as possible?
Yes,
Thank you.
I will.
Thank you. So we need a motion to defer at this point?
Defer?
Second.
We got 2 motions in 2 seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Sergeant. Thank you, everybody, for putting up with this.
It was good.
Wow.
Save the best for last. We did this for you, this is your grand finale.
Item 73-23, the license premise report.
And your intro.
Sure, let me start by introducing Sergeant John Grass. He will be, replacing me moving forward as the,
Welcome.
due to some shifts in our manpower and needs and stuff at the police department, it's getting moved to the planning unit and also the detective bureau, so. Here as a representative from the police department moving forward.
All right, you have to show them how it's done. So Sergeant Zupke, do you have anything you'd like to bring to our attention in the report before we ask questions?
I think just really quick, I did hopefully make it a little bit easier. I know that the last time I was here, there were some questions about, times and stuff like that on calls for service. So on ones where I thought it may be an issue, I did add those. So I put, the time that it was reported, the time that it was dispatched, and then the time that we arrived. So hopefully that should help.
Do you have an example of one that you could point us at there then?
Yeah, let's see, I know I did it. Let's do Wednesday, January 18th at TDG's.
The January.
Yeah, Parsons as well. Yeah, two of them on January eighth as well.
Okay, call received, you said. Okay, now, is this something
Nice.
you chose to do that because you thought these might be a little bit controversial, or is it something you're recommending doing across the board, or what are your thoughts?
I guess when I was here, it came up because there was
Yep.
a question as to, I did it on calls for service where the person had left prior to our arrival, because
Okay.
it had come up in
Yeah.
terms
Okay.
of like our response time, so I
Perfect.
tried to make it a little bit easier, so it was a visual aid in terms of, you know,
Perfect.
when we're actually being dispatched and when we're getting there, and how much time may or may not have passed between when we were sent and when the person left.
Perfect.
So my recommendation, I guess, would
Oh,
be
yeah,
to
I'll do that.
continue
Okay, thank you, just want to be sure that, you're owning it, man. Okay, thank you very much. Did you have any particular events on here that you wanted to call out for our attention?
Obviously, I wasn't here last time, so I'm not sure, obviously, there was the serious incident at reruns on the first,
Mhm.
so I'm not sure what information you guys all, had. Obviously, it's an ongoing investigation, so there's not gonna be a whole lot that I'm gonna be able to provide aside from what's on there. There has been a.
They're not open at this point.
Correct. Yeah, so as far as I know, they are not open. There was a burglary there the day after.
Mhm.
Didn't they change the sign already though?
No, they took, that sign was up there, they put reruns over that, so that
Oh.
sign's from the previous.
Okay.
But the rerun sign is not there anymore.
No, they took that down and they just, well, they said went over the top of the one that's up there now.
The attorney's office, if the bar is not functioning, is there a limitation on grant of their license if it's not functioning?
Due to the non-operation of the sign?
The non-operation of the bar, I understand the bar is not operating at this point?
Right, so there is something in the ordinance that requires them to be in active operation. Obviously, if it's a extraordinary incident, the committee can grant it some time. It has in the past, given it a little bit of time, and if they're still not open, usually the procedure is to call the bar and to ask whether they plan on operating, and if they're not, to ask them to move towards due process.
Okay, and is there a minimum time on that required?
60 days.
I believe the ordinance
60
states
days?
60 days.
Okay.
Actually, I have to double check because that
So-
was changed.
So we can't act on this one because the investigation is not complete, and we can't act upon this one because of the non-operational period yet then?
I'll just call, the 60 days might be an old regulation that's in there. I'm sorry, my internet's not working. Okay.
Agent, can we?
Oh, may I ask a question while, training is again? So it says like, the one that had the break-in, the day after, this event, it's been closed as dormant, so they didn't find, so did someone actually break in there, or they think was? So they followed up with it, but they don't have, I mean, the investigative leads have kind of all run dry, so they're not able to, proceed any further at this point with the information that we have in terms of like, statements, stuff like that. Dormant status is something that can be reopened or reevaluated if there were to be more evidence provided or additional information, was brought forward that would lead us further in our investigation. We've just kind of
Okay.
gotten to the point in the investigation where there's no further information that would lead us to any.
If I may, real quick, were we talking about reruns still at this point?
Yes,
Okay.
there was a break in the day after,
Yes,
that's what
okay.
it says it's dormant. Okay, yeah.
Wasn't really broken into, too.
That's the investigation will determine that.
I do have an answer for the chair. I do recall now that 60 days is an older requirement, so right now it just states, the business has to actively or continuously be engaged in business. So at any time they're not doing that, they can be called in by the committee, and be in violation of that section.
They wanted to.
No, we gotta wait till they get their investigation. I mean, we know the agent's not gonna be.
Two separate things. The bar is not operational right now. Finding it out, if anybody cares to act upon that, the bar is non-operational.
And
There's no force majeure clause or anything like that in our ordinance.
is the agent the one who? So they don't have an agent right now.
He was the
They would
agent.
have to take either way. They haven't surrendered their license or anything like that? So they would have to apply for a new license regardless,
Yeah, they can't
or
open anyway.
replace the agent.
So at this point, that license is kaput
Not
at this
valid.
point. It's not valid. I'm getting a look of questioning from over there, from the city clerk's office.
He is the agent and the owner, so I know that he was the whole license, like everything was very the same.
Okay, so is there an action required by this committee at this point? I mean, we can just say, it's all gone, but shouldn't we be buttoning this up a little bit more if we need to button it up?
Yes. So if there's no agent and no licensee, I would recommend that we at least get in touch with them. If the license is not surrendered, then we have to go through due process. So we can start that procedure.
Who is them? We get in touch with them. Who is them?
With the business, we would have to send out a notice to let them know.
To
Maybe
the,
a child or a family member.
we don't know anything about the probate for this person.
I can work with the city clerk's office, to start the administrative process for at least sending out proper notices, even though we know that the agent has passed, we do have to send out certain
Mhm.
notices and start the process.
So I would recommend we start the process here to get this cleaned up. Does anybody disagree with that?
Don't make a motion.
Is that a motion?
It's an interesting question. It's not an action at this point.
It doesn't require an action motion, so I can just work with the city clerk's office and update the committee at the next meeting.
That sounds good. Are there any questions for our police representatives, plural here?
Oh,
at this
yeah,
point?
on this report.
On the report now, yes.
So 1518 just opened up, and they're on here a whole bunch of times. I wanna know what you guys' thoughts are on this. I mean, we can't keep babysitting, and these guys have been open about a month, maybe two.
Yeah, so what I noticed in doing the report is, there's some calls for service where they're calling us asking for extra attention. There's some calls where officers are self-initiating calls for service to provide extra attention, and then there's calls for service there that we are getting dispatched to.
I would like to call them in because they just opened, because we can't have you guys babysit, especially going down in that area.
I have a question. One, sounds like they were serving food when they weren't supposed to be. One of the-
I put information on there that the officers and stuff were concerned about, because I guess I don't know all the information in regards to their license.
So the health department may not have opened up the.
What?
I didn't have an answer on that. The police department did reach out to me on whether they could serve food. I did verify with the health department, they do have a valid license to serve food.
Thank you very much. My only other question would be, to me, it seems abnormal. Yes, we want bar owners to be proactive when something happens. But if you have a large event that you think might get out of control, you don't put that on the police department to come give you free security. In my mind.
Right.
In my mind. So if we're heading down that road, that's an issue to me that needs to be addressed with the owner of the bar. Yes, we want you to call if you have a problem. But we're not gonna be your extra cheap security, in my mind.
Like I said, there's been calls for service for that.
And the one problem they have there is.
And there might be a misunderstanding, sorry.
Well, one problem they have there is there's no entrance to the front. I mean, they can get out if they had to, but everything is through the back, so nobody knows what's going on down there.
Can we approve them with those doors and the like premise description?
Well, as long as there's an exit, because I don't.
We had the opportunity to weigh in on the premise description, and I don't know how we can call them in on that at this point.
Well, I wanna, because what is there, like 10 or 12 calls on here?
There's two, it looks like there's two of
Oh.
substance, honestly, then.
The one that I had at home was a lot more than that.
We have 1, 2, 3, 4.
Now, how many times they appear, because those can be self-initiated, we already heard
Right.
the food one was not valid at this point, so I think,
But I think he was there for
don't go
something
by
else.
volume. If you're seeing
Right.
things of concern, let's call them for those reasons, but not just because there's a
Well-
lot. We encourage people to call us.
I'm a little concerned about the fights happening inside, and you see that the security guy's, gun got stolen. But, again, they, what's that?
I say that was just one,
That
but,
was
yeah,
one, yeah.
the other one was one, where they said it
Yeah.
might turn physical.
My biggest problem is them asking for extra attention because they have a big party going on. That's my biggest.
January 8th, officers responded for a report of a fight. Refused complaint and advised there were a lot of people arguing and believing it was gonna turn physical. Officers arrived and experienced difficulty maneuvering in the lot due to vehicles parked on the perimeter. And only one little short area to get in and out. There's no document of any signage on the front or back of the building. And they were unaware the property had been issued a license even.
On arrival, officers did not observe an active fight, however, there were dozens of people in the lot entering and exiting the building. That doesn't scream need to call somebody in, but it's up to the
I mean, they've only been open a month and this is all these calls. I just wanna make them aware that they gotta be, they're responsible.
Our mechanism for making them aware is an expression of concern at this point, correct? If we call them in, they're receiving their first expression of concern at that point. We can choose to rescind that, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can we just communicate with them in regards to, we're not your extra security?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Can we communicate with them somehow that we're not your extra security? Call us if you have a problem. Don't call us because you got a big party going on and we want you to hang out.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause
Yeah,
they're
that should not come from the police. The police are trying to be trusted advisors to these folks. If we tell them, don't call, if we have the police tell them, don't call us, no matter
Right,
what
but
kind of
if they're
parameters you
using
put on
that
it.
as extra security.
That's on us to have that conversation, then. not
All I
on the
know
police
is
to
But
have
not,
that
I'm not asking
conversation.
police, when I say us, I mean in general.
Okay.
Is there a way we as a committee, how about that?
We can issue an expression of concern. If they answer satisfactorily, we can make sure the message is received and then rescind the,
Yes.
the
Yeah,
How
right.
does the
of
committee
concern.
feel about waiting till the next license premise report?
Well, I know this is, I mean, all these calls in a month. And they just opened. Oh, go ahead, Lou.
So just so the committee is aware, I did speak with the owner of 1518. He did not seem to be aware that her hours were limited to closing at midnight. That was what the committee approved when it approved the license. And so she did and is making a request to extend those hours.
Good luck with
Appearing
that.
before the committee at the next meeting, so.
Perfect.
Okay, perfect, then we don't have to, because I'm not willing to extend those hours right now.
Perfect. We'll reduce the hours.
Well, you can see the time of dispatch, we're way beyond that, so.
All right, other items of concern for the police?
I'm concerned, but I'm glad to see that double vision that people, we do have officers that are doing, self-initiated call. Remember that was like a big, like contentious a bit? So that is good that they're doing the
Yep, greatly appreciate
self-initiated.
it. Appreciate what those third shift guys do for that kind of stuff, and everybody, but especially those guys.
Motion to receive and file, so we're not calling
Yeah.
over.
If we have if there's nothing else, a motion is in order.
Motion to receive and file.
Second.
Further discussion on the item? All in favor?
Aye.
We have one more item then to get through, which is gonna be another receive and file. In this particular case, item 74-23. That's our standard item that allows us to,
Move to receive and file.
thank you.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. It's the usual one that allows us to
Okay.
report out if there's anything we do. but there's nothing we requested at this point. Thank you, everyone, for your patience this evening. This was a short one compared to what it's been. Aren't we glad we're meeting twice a month now? Can you imagine we, otherwise?
Yeah, right now, it's there.
No, so, yeah.
Move to adjourn.
There's no motion required.
Oh, okay. I'm just making
The
sure.
agenda is exhausted. Get out of here. Thank you.